What's up? What's up, y'all? This is Black Man Unfiltered again. Hey, we in here tonight. The family's back in effect, baby. We got Mother back in here. We got Lance back here. Mother over there eating a plate of chicken. Show us that plate of chicken over there, Mother.
Whole
Ooh,
plate, a whole
man,
plate.
look,
And
man.
not
That's
the
how
only
late.
one. Not
Oh
the
man,
only
look, the
one.
chicken
Come
game,
on.
the chicken
Come
game.
on,
You know
chicken
what I'm talking about?
gang. Sit
Lance
your
got his
ass
Fried
chicken
down.
over there.
chicken
Bishop got
wings.
his chicken. Hey, I ain't got no chicken over here. And then look at Brian, man. I like that shirt he got on. I will breathe. Hey, show him that shirt, Brian. Let me
I
Right,
see.
like that.
Yeah, I will breathe. I need to give me about 5 or 6 of them in different colors. You know what
I
I'm
right,
got
saying?
you.
exactly.
I got you.
And then
Right.
then we got Sierra in the building. Sierra, what's up, baby?
What's up?
What's up with you?
Can
So
you
listen,
hear me?
guys. Yeah, I can hear you well.
Yep.
Yeah, I can hear you good. You good. So man, listen, before we, get into the topics of this week, we want to go through a clear mind situation. So I want everybody to have a clear mind. And so this week has been probably good for some, bad for others. But we'll start with you, Brian, man. Anything on your mind that you want to clear your mind about before we get the show started?
Um, there's a couple things. I'm just gonna say one, make it fast and quick.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things that kind of bothered me for the past couple weeks was seeing what Kyrie Irving was going through, seeing all these black TV anchors slandering my brother or our brother Kyrie Irving because he didn't want to get the in his body,
Let me
and
see
that
if I can get my.
and I hate to see our own tear each other down for something that's being pushed from the government. So that's one of the things that's been kind of sickening to me to see black men being so angry, so coming out with a lot of vitriol out their mouth towards a young black man that never committed a crime, never raped a woman, never hurt a child. He just want to have his right. But that's it.
Yeah, man. Hey, Kyrie going through it, bro, because he said he not
Yeah,
playing if they make him get vaccinated. So, and he, like you said,
I
he
like
done
it.
gave millions back, bro, to the community and to kids and
Yep,
to, he even bought George Floyd family a house.
yep.
Yeah, he bought them a
And,
house, and so yeah,
and
so
he
man,
gave money to the WNBA. He gave
oh,
money
yep,
to
he
the
did.
WNBA.
Yeah, yeah. And so, what about you, Lance, man? What's been going on your mind this week, man? Clear your mind.
I've really just been I really been kind of disgusted, honestly, at some political stuff. Just this Biden administration and this uprise of Trump supporters. But on the cool, I've been learning a lot about the Trump supporters and the movement that they're trying to do, and the type of government that they're trying to set for us, which is really the kind of government, I guess, that we always kind of wanted to be a part of, like one that wasn't dictated by, other governing bodies. Just watching that play out has been kind of weird, and they're still trying to do a recount. They're still trying to get Trump in office, and I don't know. I'm hard pressed to see whether he's really like an enemy anymore, or either an enemy more so than anybody else in the government, I guess, is really the way to say it. So that's been kind of on my heart lately.
Yeah, yeah. What about you, Megan? Clear your mind.
Something. Yeah, I've been kind of following, been kind of disgusted about the young man Elijah. I think his last name is McCain. The young man that came up that was missing, and then they finally found him, and his organs was missing, and his jaw was sawed off, and all that stuff. And it just seems like that they're not really putting the resources behind it that they should, because it's no leads, no answers, no nothing. And I think what really got me like kind of disgusted about it is because I had seen the story about him being missing, but it's almost like I was almost desensitized to black death and to black men coming up missing or black people coming up missing and them not really doing much about it, that I didn't think too much about it because I saw the story like maybe 3 weeks ago. But once I really like sat down and took time to read about how his organs was missing and all of that, like my heart really went out. But it made me realize, like, man, have I really become this desensitized? Is it happening so much to like them not caring about finding our people, finding our people that are missing, or have I really become desensitized to black men and our black boys being killed? That it's happening so much that it's not. I'm not subconsciously. I'm not seeing it as egregious as I should be. And so that's
Yeah.
something that's been kind of troubling me, and you know, I'm kind of trying to get back in sync with things, and kind of trying to think for myself and figure out, you know, well, I know partly what's kind of almost made me, maybe desensitized is not the right word, but what has kind of made me like that is because it's happening so much. And so I've been kind of really trying to almost recenter myself, and you know,
Yeah.
kind of get that desensitization, because I feel like once you desensitize yourself of it, you accept it to a certain extent.
Right. And one of the things that, you know, I wanted to put out there, I'll let Sierra go first. Go ahead, baby. I can't. Oh, she muted. Oh, my bad. Go ahead. Unmute yourself.
Okay,
So,
ask the question again.
so no, we're just going over the week, you know, everything that we've seen, anything that disgusted us, anything that we've seen that was positive, anything that we're doing a clear our mind session right now. So just clear your mind on anything that you saw that was beneficial, or something that you saw that you didn't agree with, you know, throughout this week since last time we met.
I really don't know how true it is, and I really don't know if anybody discussed this already. But although Black history was not really taught in schools anyway,
Right.
I was scrolling Facebook the other day, and I didn't really check it to make sure if it was true. But they were saying Black history was being taken out of the curriculum. I know we didn't really learn it anyway, other than, you know, Rosa Parks, MLK, Malcolm X, but I know a couple of Black teachers that I have had really went into like Black history and helping us learn our history. So I don't know if that's true, but that was something that was alarming too. Like, instead of taking it out, I wish they would actually bring it in and teach more about Black history, and not just Black history, all history, you know.
Yeah. And see, and I agree with you. I think that, you know, a lot of times we haven't had an opportunity to teach our kids, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So what I want to do is clear my mind. And I don't even know if you guys have heard about what happened with this situation. I think it was in Georgia. I don't want to be, I think I'm mistaken about the place, but I'm not mistaken about the story. So this lady has been missing for 5 days. Black lady missing for 5 days. Kids don't know where she is. Family doesn't know where she is. And they find her. I hope y'all sitting down for this. They find her dead in a unused police van at the precinct. She's been there in that van for 5 days. It's a gate around the police station. They say they don't know how the body got in there. They don't know how she died. They've never seen this woman before in their life. And the van is an unused van. They don't even use the van anymore. And the body was inside the van, rotting inside that unused van. How is that even possible?
Mm-hmm.
The police, oh, we don't know nothing. Maybe the van was unlocked. Maybe somebody came by and put the body. How is that possible when the van is parked right in front of the police station?
Where the cameras at?
Wow.
Right, my point exactly, bro.
Right. It was a Black lady.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So everybody had an opportunity to clear their mind. I appreciate y'all clearing their mind. Hey, listen. So we're gonna get it. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. The first thing that stuck out to me, man, that I wanted to talk about is the system. So basically tonight we're going to be talking about different things that affect Black people differently in different ways and different aspects, right? And so in life. And so the first thing I want to talk about was child support stress for Black men, right? And one of the things that I want to share with you guys is that I don't know if you guys know him. Shout out to the lead attorney. He's on YouTube. You guys should look up his channel. He's the lead attorney. He's an attorney. He's been an attorney for about 25 years, probably 26 years. And this is all he does, child support. He does divorces. Like, he's an expert in this. So I had a clip from him that I wanted to play to you for you guys, so you guys can see this for yourself, and then we'll after we watch this clip, then we'll discuss it. We'll react to what he said. So give me a second. Let me pull him up. All right, here he is.
If I can't hear him.
Can y'all hear him?
Mhm.
No.
Nah, I can't hear nothing.
Uh-uh.
All right, hold on. All right, so I don't know why y'all can't hear that. Hold on, let me try it again. Let me see. Let me see. But anyway, so what he is doing is, so what he's talking about, because I'm trying to figure out what happened with the whole thing or whatever.
Is your
But yeah,
headphone stopping it from doing it? Like,
yeah, no, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. I got it.
Because it was like we could hear, but it was low.
All right, here we go.
It's between me and Lauren.
Can y'all hear now?
And the state really doesn't
Yeah.
know about it, especially if she doesn't have me on child support. I'm paying. She's fine with the number. I'm more or less fine with the number. And we're both cool. Now, there's a public side of child support as well. Let's say Lauren is doing bad and she applies for government aid, welfare, food stamps, stuff like that. They're going to go to her and they're going to say, hey, why are you applying for food stamps? You got these kids. Where's the father? And Lauren's going to be like, oh, don't worry about him. And the state's going to say, no, we're not going to give you any food stamps until you tell us exactly where the lead attorney is. You need to tell us his address. You need to tell us his employer. You need to give us all the details, his social security number, birth date. Now she needs these food stamps, so she's gonna dime me out. Now, after she dimes me out, the state is gonna give her the food stamps, but then they're gonna come after me. And let's say they order me to pay, $800 a month. Well, I'm gonna pay the state $800 a month, but they're not gonna give that $800 to Lauren. Why? Because they're already giving her the food stamps. They are keeping my $800 to reimburse themselves for the food stamps that Lauren's getting. So now the state is actually benefiting from the fact that I have these children. And so in certain circumstances, the court system and the state absolutely have an incentive to put as many men in the child support industrial complex as possible. They absolutely have an incentive. That incentive isn't really there if it's just me and Lauren and I'm just showing up at her crib every 2 weeks to pay her the child support. But if I have to pay my child support to the state of California, for example, she might only receive $50 out of my $600-700 check, and then they're just going to keep the rest and they'll go, oh, well, she's on child support. Now Lauren's going to be pissed off because she's like, well, he's a deadbeat dad because I'm only giving 50%. She's going to get mad at me. She's going to be talking bad about me to my own kids, turn my kids against me. She's going to be giving me problems in terms of picking up my kids. So now whenever I go to pick up my kids, she got her face on, right? She got an attitude.
You ain't got to worry about that.
Right? I ain't got to worry about that. All right. but then I have an attitude. I have an attitude too, because I'm like, why are you getting crunk with me when the $800 is getting taken directly out of my check? Like, I'm paying. You need to be smiling. But no one is smiling except for the state of California and these judges.
Man.
There weren't really any facts there. I mean, how much is this? Has she filed for food stamps? How much is she getting? How much is the state of California getting? What are those fees entail? Because, I mean, we have to pay the employees of the state of California. And on a better question, let's talk about why you and this young lady is not together no more. I mean, were you making a baby somewhere else? Not even besides the point, but to the root of it, it does get to like the point, right? Like, what is breaking us down as a Black family?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Like I said, my family, like I told y'all last episode, my parents stayed together, like for better or worse. They believe that wholeheartedly, like down to their spirit, no matter how bad it got. And even everybody said they should have been apart. So I mean, like, what what he's bringing up the theoretical, and I mean, I would hate to like make some kind of implication on someone else based off of theoretical, because he's saying right now that they're good, but he's just saying like a hypothetical situation, like if she were to go get food stamps, I mean, we're not talking to the average Black man as we would see them on child support. This man is up here with a suit and a tie and probably makes and banks more than most people we know. So I mean, is he having a problem providing child support? Is he being negligent, or
Well,
like,
in his case, to defend him, he's not talking about
I'm giving
himself.
an
He's talking,
example.
yeah, he's giving an example of what the child support system looks like.
Okay.
And so he was using one of the girls on the show as an example, Lauren, as an example of what the child support system is. Now, what I was thinking was the fact that when I say child support stress for Black men, it's not the fact that the Black women beat up on, they use it as a superpower, but against Black men, but it's the system. And I had an opportunity to look up the numbers. And in the state of Georgia, child support with fees and everything like that that's joined to child support, that's a $1 billion a year revenue for the state. $1 billion a year that the state gets off of those fees, off of that child support fees, off of that, Black women putting that, because we're talking about our culture, putting men on child support. And once those men are on child support, they're getting, like he just said in the video, they're getting, how can I say it? They're getting what, 80% of what you're getting. So I mean, like you said, I send you $600, they're sending you 50. The state got a fee, the city got a fee, the city ordinance got a fee, it's a processing fee, it's a state tax fee. I mean, they're just taxing all of that money that he's sending. And then if you're getting food stamps, like they said, they're getting their money back for what they've already given you. So my question to you guys is, do you think the system, do you think that Black couples should get together to the point where they should work things out, where we don't have to make the white politicians richer than what they already are? Because we got poor people fighting over, we got middle class people and poor people fighting over $600 a month in child support, and you got the white guy sitting, the judge sitting in the back like this. Yes, that $1 billion is coming this year. Come on, women, get them. And so, how do y'all feel about that? I mean, starting with you, Sierra. I mean, what is your mind on the whole system? How they're making money off our people being against each other?
Well, some of what he said was true about how the state works with child support, but I'm not going to say every state is that way. Because I know in the state of Louisiana that you don't, I mean, if you apply for food stamps, you don't have to put the man on child support. Now, if you do Medicaid, they may want you to do it then, because they say the man should have the medical support. But food stamps, I know by tap, you'll have to do it too. But all the other Section 8 and all of that, government assistance, you don't have to put the man on child support for that. I do see what he was saying, that is a revenue for the state. I do believe that we should be able to work together to come to a common ground. I mean, I have children. 2 of my 4 kids are by another man. He's not on child support. My son's 8, so I haven't heard from him or seen from him in 8 years. So he's not on child support. Don't need child support. And the reason why is my grandmother. You know, back in the day, it was like everything stays in the home. They didn't want the white men in their business. So it mostly was my grandmother who stated, there's no reason to put the man on child support. If he don't want to take care of the baby, don't let me. He doesn't have to take care of him. State can't make him take care of him. If the state do make him take care of you, put him on child support, then he goes to jail. He still can't pay the child support. So now he has a record. He get out, he don't have a job, can't get a job because he has a record, because as sooner or later it's going to turn into a felony depending on how much he owes. So no matter what, he still can't take care of that child. So she just said, just let it be. And that's just exactly what I did. I make enough money to take care of my children. I have a man who's with me now and we fine together. So we're just not married. So.
Yeah. What about you, Megan? I mean, where you at with them profiting off of profiting off of bitter black man. I mean, bitter black woman against angry black man, and they're just sitting in the corner, just taking that check every month.
Now that was a whole
Well,
different question.
I was just gonna say, I was
Yeah,
with you. You
I
could
gotta
have
do
all
something
that
different. I
angry
gotta do
and
something different
bitter
for mother. I gotta
items.
do something different for mother.
But you know, but you know what? Honestly, I feel like the root of all of it. I agree with Lance. Like, why are our families like broken in the first place? Why do we need child support in the first place? Because I do agree that it's a system that they definitely profiting off of. And so I think ideally and in a perfect world, it's easy to say, oh, the mama and daddy should get together and be able to figure it out amongst each other. But unfortunately, both parties don't always act right. I told y'all, I think I've mentioned this before. I have a really good friend who's raising a 15-year-old son, and she's tried to give his father the benefit of the doubt since he was born. And I mean, this guy year after year just does nothing. So, I mean, I think there are some situations where that's the only option, and it sucks that the state profits off of it. But I think more should be done in terms of us as a people holding each other accountable. And I know we're always talking about women holding each other accountable, but even as men, like men need to hold each other accountable. If you know your homeboy is not taking care of his kids, like tell him something about it. That's a problem. So I think it starts with us, and I think it's gonna be forever before the system changes because white people don't really care about it. It doesn't affect
Mm-mm.
them like that. It's a black people problem, so they're not gonna do anything about it. They're not. They don't care. And most of their situations is usually middle class or upper class. Upper class, they're not doing child support. They make the agreements, they make the arrangements, and that's it. So it's not, they're not looking to fix the child support system. So if we want any relief from this, it's going to start with us as a people, as a community, holding each other accountable. And even for the women, if I have a good friend that worked at the child support office, and she told me, it was a group of us, she told us that a young lady called in and said that she wanted to file child support on her child's father. They said, oh, has he not been helping you? She said, oh, no, he's been helping me. He's a really good father. He pays things. And she said, no, I'm just filing child support on him because he got another bitch and he be having that bitch around my baby. And they allowed her to file child support on that man and made him pay. So I think, as when that's something as women, we need to hold each other accountable. If I have a friend or a homegirl that tell me something like that, I'm gonna say, hey, you out of line. Don't do that. If that man is taking care of his child, don't do that. So I think it's gonna have to be something that we as a black community are gonna have to fix. And that's gonna help us long before any changes are made to the system. Because again, the white man, they don't care about the child support system. It's not affecting them. They're not gonna do nothing about it. So I think it starts with us as a community.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that before, no, go ahead, Lance. I'm gonna let Lance go ahead first. Go ahead first.
My issue is like, do we know how much
Oh, you
white people
muted.
are affected by the child support? Do we know how much white people are affected by the child support system? I mean, do we know the stats for white people on child support? Because I know some white people. I know some white people on child support. I mean, they're affected just the same. I mean, they still get money taken out. There's still dudes running around here on the run. But I mean, besides that, I see what you're talking about, Joe, and the fact that it's not a last resort; it's a first option, and that's horrible. That it's a first option, knowing you're going to put somebody in jail for something that both of you are responsible for. I don't care so much about men being put on child support as the people, man or woman, who are allowed to receive child support. I fully believe in drug testing for child support. Like, you don't have the right to take my tax money and smoke weed. Like, I don't agree with that. I feel like if a child's on child support, I feel like there should be an account for the child. I feel like there's not enough focus on the child and too much focus on the parents. I feel like I want you to focus on this child's grades. You know, I want you to focus on this child's like home lifestyle. Like, are they living an appropriate lifestyle? That's the stuff that I don't know. That's the stuff that scares me at night. When I go to sleep, I see all these taxes coming out of my paycheck for child support. Are these children actually being helped? I could care less about the parents because they knew everything from day 1 to day 31 what they was doing. And the parent and the people who can't hold themselves accountable for a situation, whether a blessed, even though it's a blessed situation, it's still a situation that you brought upon yourself. I understand that you need help. They've already done away with the church and the system and the support staff for Black people. That was the goal. That's already done. That's what we need to get back. But we can't do that because the church isn't believed in. The people don't believe in themselves. And that's the problem where I have. I feel like the children are getting lost in like the mix. Like, how are these children doing? That's what I want to know. Like, is the child support money doing any good? Like, because I constantly see women and some dudes. I will say it's majority women, but I constantly see these parents who are supposed to be getting this child support and they're in charge, but they did up and they clean cut and their kids got like snot running from their nose and you know they rolling up blunts and shit. And I'm just like, how do you afford blunts? Like that's what I want. I don't want child support to stop because we don't have a support system yet as African Americans that's tight enough, you know, to really just say that every child's going to be taken care of. I want to make sure that the child support is given out to the right people. Because I think if we start drug testing people tomorrow for child support, it'll be a wrap. And a lot of these men wouldn't have to worry about not much of anything, honestly. That's just me, though.
Brian, how do you feel about the profiting off of the state and our white counterparts, you know, judges and lawyers, you know, making all this bread, over $1 billion a year in child support fees?
I kind of look at it like this. This is my viewpoint of it. The people that's making money off the male that's getting put on child support are people that are in low income situations, maybe that are applying for the state. That's why we got to teach young men to deal with women that have some type of education, some type of financial literacy. Then when let's say y'all do break up and y'all do have a bad situation, y'all can go to a court and let the lawyers mediate who pays what. Then the state won't get no money because it's still is between amongst both y'all, instead of the woman going to DHS or the child support child support office and filing. Because once the state filed, that's when the government get in your mix, you know. So for me, man, we just gotta that's just a segment of people that's going through that's going through the child support system. But like for me, if that was me and I was a man that was complaining about what the state is doing, I start putting a plan together to get a lawyer and see if I can get that child support lowered instead of just whining and crying about it. Because crying and whining about it is not going to do anything. Just keep fighting and try to get it lowered. That's my viewpoint on it. And deal with women that's not low income. Let me put it like that. If you're a guy that make great money or live a great lifestyle, get you a woman that have a good lifestyle. Instead of dealing with bottom feeders that don't have money. When you met her, she couldn't sustain herself. You know she was liable when you met her. So there's no reason for you to deal with something like that if you're a man with integrity, a man that have things in life. Stop dealing with people that don't have nothing. Because they going to do everything they can to get something because they don't got nothing. So we got to look at it like that, man. We just got to be real.
Yeah, and to add to what you were saying, you know, about the bottom feeders, I agree. I agree. I think that most men, they look for the bottom feeder. If anybody has ever had a fish aquarium and had a lot of fish in there, there's something in there. There's an algae eater in there that eats all the waste and everything that's on the bottom. And when you meet women like that, because they out here, They out here by the tons. And they're looking for an opportunity. This guy right here, he seems pretty decent. Skeet, goddamn. And then once he skeet, that's a wrap. Then you got a baby by a ratchet female, and now she's gonna take you for everything you got. You get your check, you made $1,500 in 2 weeks. You look down and you see a picture of her on your check stub, because she didn't took 80% of your money, and you can't barely survive. I know grown men right now, relatives that they're young, they're in their 20s. The child support's hitting them so hard that they had to move back in with their mama. Like literally move back in the house with their mama because the child support was banging them up, and it's still banging them up to this day.
And to the point of like about lowering it, is I know at least in Texas, it's no way to get it lowered. Those percentages are set. And so unless you can prove, and unfortunately, even if you have more children, they don't really consider that. It's set percentages, and perhaps when you have more kids, it's only a very small deduction that you get. So like Dwayne was saying, it's only, of course, your check is only so much. But again, it goes back to you shouldn't be having 6, 7, 8 kids, and not. I don't think anybody goes into things not planning to. Yeah, I mean, you have
to be at the bottom to find a bottom feeder. You got to be at the bottom.
But I mean, you shouldn't be recklessly out here having 6, 7, 8 kids. You shouldn't have that many kids anyway, unless you can financially sustain them. But in terms of like being able to lower those percentages and stuff, you can't. At least not in Texas anyway, because it's set percentages.
Right. and that's in Texas, also adding to Texas. My God, I've said this before, I think on the last show. Texas, if please don't piss off a black woman in Texas. If she got your kid and she had your baby, please shut your mouth, because if you don't shut your mouth, what she's going to do is she can go, if that kid, especially the older they get, the worse it is. That kid can be 17 years old and you piss her off and say, I'm engaged, I'm getting married, and she ain't got nobody and she's miserable. She done bought her dog because she's about to die alone. And she see you about to get married, your wedding day next Saturday. She's going to show you. And Texas is going to say, ma'am, you know what? Don't you worry about a thing. He's 17 years old. He's going to be 18 in 2 days. Don't you worry about a thing. We're gonna retro back 17 years, and we're gonna get you 17. We're gonna get you what he owe you. 17 years of child support, and that's what Texas does to men every day. 17 years, 12 years, 14 years. It's like prison sentences they're giving out. And these men are like, and I heard the lead attorney also say on that same clip, he said a lot of men, when he was in court, a lot of men that he was defending were saying, hey, listen, if you don't get me out of this situation, I'm going to have to put her in the trunk. He said a lot of men were angry to that point. They said, I'm just going to put her in the trunk. I can't afford to take care of the kids. And one of the things that bothered me, I was working with this guy, and he was at lunch. He was, smiling and looking at pictures. And, I was like, oh, okay. He's showing me his kids or whatever. He said, this is my ex-wife. This is her husband. I was like, oh, okay. I'm looking kind of weird at him. Okay. And he was like, yeah, man, hey, bro, man, it was just good to see my kids and move on. And I said, okay. Yeah, so what your wife do? Your ex-wife do? He said, she's a nurse. I said, okay, what her husband do? Oh, he a dentist. I said, oh, she met her the dentist. Oh, they ain't got to, I'm joking around. They ain't got to have no tooth issues. They ain't got to pay for no dentist or whatever. He's like, yeah, you right, bro. And I was like, he said, I said, so, man, I bet you glad you don't have to pay no child support. He said, what you mean? He said, I'm on child support, bro. He said, I'm on my 2 kids. He said, dude, I'm paying $1,000 a month in child support, and she don't even need it. He said she just put him on it just to put him on it. Her husband is a dentist, which I believe a man should take care of his own kids. But I'm just saying, if you remarried and y'all in the same household, and he's taking on a responsibility to help you rear your children, then he's a dentist and she's a nurse.
Y'all blended family at that point.
They're yes. Mm-hmm. And so why is this man paying $1,000 a month in child support when they got that much income coming in the house? Like that like I said, the laws and the way they got this stuff set up is really screwing black men over bad. It's ridiculous.
I don't like how they don't take into account what the other person's making.
Right.
Like I feel
Yeah.
like just because you have this child and you're taking care of them, like that doesn't mean that you're actually spending this amount on them. I believe that it should be, and it should definitely like be scrutinized. Like every piece of money that comes in the household, you want to put the government in your business, fantastic. Both of you, I'm gonna need receipts from you at the end of the month, or else we're gonna start telling you how much you paid for whatever else, any kind of extracurricular that you have. I think it should, if you're gonna put someone on child support, I think it should be taken very seriously. And I think that they should scrutinize what you're making, what both of you are making, even more, and the specific needs of the child.
Now, that's
Absolutely.
one thing
Point
that
blank. And if you get married to somebody else, they're in the mix too, and they need to know this is part of the package and part of the plan. You're in a blended family.
No.
Your bills are my bills, and there's just no getting past that. Like everybody should have to suffer for this, because that's what a child does. It makes everybody suffer a little bit, at least that pocket. So I mean, I think that's kind of fucked up in the first place. Like,
Right. And so I know that,
And-
you know, we've been talking for weeks about Black women and how strong Black women is. And Lance elaborated on it the first week, and Megan and him, and, you know, they were on that as well. And then Sierra came in the next week. And we talked about strong Black women. We talk about how women have been effective in the world. So what I want to do is I had a surprise for you guys. So I'm going to bring on, I've been knowing this young lady since we were kids as well, just like I know Sierra, and Sierra knows her as well. I'm going to bring her on, and then I'm going to introduce her to you guys and tell you what she is and who she is and how and what she's accomplished in life. So I'm going to bring another strong Black woman on right now. This is Dr. Marquita Higgins. So she's on right now. Good evening, Doctor. How are you?
Good evening. How are you? Can you guys see me well? I'm
Yeah.
trying to. Okay.
So this is Dr. Marquita Higgins. She has a PhD in criminal
Hello.
justice, law, and public policy. She has a BA and an MA in criminal justice and a master's in philosophy. So Dr.
Yes.
Higgins, welcome to Black Men Unfiltered.
Thank you. Thank you for the invite. How's everyone?
So
doing well. Honored to be in your presence.
doing well.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Likewise.
So we were talking about since you're in that law of things, Dr. Higgins. So I want to get your take on how do you feel about how the system has been created in the child support system to basically rob the Black men, and then the upper level of people are profiting off of the child support between, you know, our culture of people. So I'll let you speak on that.
Okay. I would definitely say that there is some profiting going on, but I think when it comes to the whole thing with child support, I guess you can say that it's a fluke depending on the situation. It all depends on the situation. And I can't really say that there is no situation, no circumstance where a man should be placed on child support. And I'll just speak from my experience. I don't know what anyone else's is, but in my case, I'm just going to put it out there. My children, they don't hear from their father like that. You know what I'm saying? When they hear from him, it may be like on Facebook, or it may be like happy birthday. And that's after they've already been notified on Facebook, that it's their birthday or whatever. So it's one of those kind of things. And it was just that I knew that I would not have gotten any assistance had I not gone that way. It's just one of those things to where when we were together, everything was fine. But when we broke up, you broke up with the children. So it was just one of those things. It wasn't a thing like I can't afford to take care of my kids. It was just you being held accountable for your role as their dad. And even if it really just turned out to be something more financial than just being there anyways. But I will tell you, even when children are small, they don't really know. When you're paying child support, they don't even really know about all of those things, but they do remember when you spend time with them. But I will tell you, for my children, they knew that they were getting child support and they knew when they got it. my children know to where even now I only have one child left in the house. He's 16 years old. He knows how often he gets it, and he's got, and you know what? And I give him some of it. This is for you. And I can't give it all to him because if I do, it's gonna go on something crazy. I'm already knowing he's gonna spend it all on something crazy. But my son doesn't make a big fuss about it at all. He he get that, and then he don't mind if you take that and you go do this for me with it. He doesn't mind that at all. So we don't have any issues about it. Me and their dad, we don't get into it about it. You know, we don't make a fuss about it. It just is what it is. Now, for anybody else's situation, I don't know, but it's not something that my kids don't know about. They knew about it. They knew when they got it because they would get, they would get it. So they knew about that. It wasn't something I needed to take care of me because I can take care of me. I don't need him to take care of me. We're not together anymore. So that's not necessary for me. I get my own hair done. I can take care of all that. I don't need his money for that. That's not his job to make sure my hair is done or make sure I get my pedicures or whatever. That's not his job. I'm no longer his woman. I'm not his concern in that manner. I just need him to be concerned about his children, and that's it.
Wow. Well, so now, that's well said. So now I wanted to move into something else that's affecting our community as a whole, which would be because everybody remember back in the 90s there was there was a crack epidemic, right? Where especially in California, all over, but California got hit the hardest, right? And so come to find out that all these conspiracy theories were right, that they were pumping drugs into the neighborhoods and they were allowing Black people to get addicted to these drugs, and then it became more violent, and then they had reasons to cut Black people off, to put Black people in one area. And then you have Bill Clinton. I know Bill Clinton is beloved amongst Black people, but then Bill Clinton had the opportunity, along with the whispers of his wife, to do the 3-strike rule right in the 90s. And I don't know if anybody else is familiar with that, but that 3-strike rule put a lot of Black people in jail, prison for long periods of time.
I do want to say Kamala was the one that instilled that first in California,
though. Lance, you talking tonight.
And then she just came out of the woodworks as vice president one day. I don't know how the hell that happened, but go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah. And so my question to you guys tonight. No, back then, you got caught being high on crack, or you got caught being a crackhead, they lock you up, right? They sentence you. They gave you unfair sentences back in the day. But now, all of a sudden, since it has reached the white neighborhoods and the white families in the suburbs, now it's
the opioid crisis.
Now it's an opioid crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, we got to help them.
We got to help them. We need to rehabilitate them.
Yes. So my question to you guys would be, I'll start with Brian. So Brian, what is your outlook on the opioids right now, what we're going through right now versus the crack epidemic? What's the difference? What do you see that the difference there, where they care more about the opioids now than they did back in the day with the people that were addicted to crack?
Well, this is how I look at the crack epidemic. When the crack epidemic hit, yes, they did attack a lot of Black people, but don't forget, white people was having a crack epidemic too. They was going through it also. So what they did was when they passed the 94 crime bill or whatever, they had some money to help rural areas, like Ohio, places like Ohio. They funded some of those places. They funded some of those places to help white people in those countries. Even with the opioid, same thing, right? But this is how I look at it. I'm a Black person. This is not my country. This is the white folks' country. I'm not shocked that America is watching out for white people, watching out for the people they've been watching out for. For 400 years, we have seen evidence on how white people are and how white people take up for themselves. Us as Black people should not be shocked at all that they saving, and they got these laws for white people there in New York. They can shoot up in New York without going to jail. I don't know why we so shocked, where in history, white people always watched out for white people. We got to get to a point where instead of being shocked by everything, just sit back and look at the history of America with white people in it. They done a lot of devilish things. So I'm not shocked. I'm not like, ooh, because I seen it all. I seen what they have done. So we gotta start coming to a situation where stop being shocked all the time, because this is what white people been doing. We need to start at least focus on why are our people still on these opioids. How can we get our children off opioids instead of worrying about something that we already seen back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Why they put crack in our neighborhood? Because they always hate black people. They always put bad things in our community all the time. So what are we going to do to combat that instead of being shocked all the time when we see America always taking up for white people? They will forever take up for white people. And once black people stop being shocked every time they see white people take care of white people, I think we can move forward.
Lance, so what you got on that?
I'm gonna say this to say this. I don't really know if there's a huge difference between the epidemic between races. I want to say that I've known a lot of black people on drugs. They continue to stay on drugs and they eventually got off. I know that when I live in Benton, Arkansas now, which is about 2 hours away from Texarkana, about 30 minutes away from the main city in Little Rock in Arkansas. And I know that 12 years ago, when I stayed here, I can go up to my to the park where I stay right a mile away from, and the only thing that would be out there would be kids, drug dealers, and gangbangers, and that was it. Like when it hit 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the afternoon, like if your kid was out there, they was stealing or they was doing it. And now I've come back, moved from Dallas, come back to here, and there are probably there's a rehabilitation center probably every 3 or 4 blocks. They cleaned it up because Benton is predominantly a white city, and they weren't going to allow it in their city. It wasn't going to happen. They sent away every single white person that was like, there's not that many black population. They sent away these white kids just the way they would send black people away in Little Rock. The only difference is there wasn't a community of people building a whole bunch of rehabilitation centers. Now, saying that, is the rehabilitation centers do nothing if there's still drugs being pumped into the society. And all I've seen over the past decade is new drugs upon new drugs upon new drugs upon new drugs, targeted at a younger and younger demographic. And I don't see it really playing any racial lines. But I think, like I said, you know me, I'm always going deep. I think it's deeper than that. I mean, what else do Black kids really have to look forward to? You know, we've created this society where that's what they've seen, and that's what they copy, because they've had nothing else to really intervene that vision or that picture that they framed us in. And I don't really know how to come out of that, being a person who has done drugs, you know, and has had to wean himself off and has had to, you know, pray and thankfully I never even had to go to rehab. I just had a good support system. You know, I had a good family right there, and they were willing to help me through everything. So it really depends on, like I said, the context of what's around you. I don't know if it's just, I know that at one point it was a Black epidemic. I don't think it's a Black epidemic anymore. I think it's a young epidemic now. I don't even think it's like a racial targeted thing. I think they're trying to get all these kids high. The only difference is they're prescribing them now. Adderall and all of these other uppers and downers that these kids take, and we don't, you know, the parents don't even know the long-term effects. The kids, they just take it, and then they pass the kids along through school like, oh, it's okay that they're, you know, high in class, and they don't know what the hell's going on in the classroom. Let's just pass them on. I think that's like the worst problem. I don't feel like they're attacking just like a race anymore. I think they're attacking like all of these young kids, because I don't think these kids see a racial divide like that. I see all different types of Black people and white people every day. Young kids who hang out with each other who don't see a difference in the color. They don't see a difference, which is kind of what we wanted. But I think there are higher powers that didn't want that. So they just affect everyone now. And then they kind of say, look at all these Black people getting high and they're on drugs and there's this epidemic. I think that's all media.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that. I don't think we're the ones with the actual problem. I think it really is mostly like the Caucasian younger generation. Because I mean, they got that life. I don't know if you talk to any little young white kids lately, but I mean, from my experience, they about their life. And most of the Black kids I know, thankfully, the ones that I know, they're looking forward. They're looking forward. They want an education. They want a job. They want a family. Like they want a career. And
So-
I see a lot of Black parents doing everything right. Single or couple. I see a lot of them doing everything that they can to make sure that their kids don't end up on drugs. And I see it working. I do.
Right. So, and Megan, I mean, you like with you being in Houston. I mean, what are you seeing as far as because, like I said again, there was in the 90s. I mean, a lot of us are old enough to remember that in the 90s, that crack epidemic. Oh my God! Arrest them all, put them all in jail. Right? There was no rehabilitation. Right? Now the opioid come because it hits a demographic of people of different race. Right? And now it's, oh my God, rehabilitation, no jail. Why would you put my son in jail? He's addiction. Now, back in the crack, you use a crackhead, you go to jail. Now, addiction is a disease.
Mm-hmm.
You see how they changed it, the wording. Addiction
And
is a
that's
disease.
exactly what we're. Yeah, they're telling us even in healthcare, like to carry EpiPens around. And even just kind of seeing the numbers in terms of folks coming in with overdoses and that sort of thing, it really is their demographic. It really is young Caucasian folks that are overdosing and that are coming in with a lot of those issues. I think something that does trouble me though with our community, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge hip hop fan, but I feel like sometimes, and especially with the new generation of music, they almost endorse drug use. They hear all these songs, and I hate to hear the kids sing it because they don't even know what it, the Future has these songs, Molly Percocet. Percocet, these sedatives, and like I said, the kids don't even know what it is, and they're singing about it. And even like this new, whatever the song is, Sharkeisha, whatever it is, it's about serve. And for years, and in Houston, that's a huge problem. We've had so many people that have overdosed on I don't know if y'all have it in Dallas too. It's called like serve. It's like I guess it's like cough syrup or something that they drink. Yes, that they drink in the cups. And so that's a huge, like, I shouldn't even say fad, but it's a whole like screw culture down here, and that's what they do. And like I said, it's promoted in the music, and I just don't really agree with that because some of the rappers might be doing it, but not all of them. A lot of them are not. And, definitely their kids are not doing that. Their kids are living their best life and going to private school while promoting that to our kids and making them think that that's cool. And so that I have a problem with hip hop right now is that it seems like now more than ever is drug use is really being promoted. And I just feel like we're losing too many, even our legends, even our older people. Like DMX, and then what was the other guy? Michael, his last name is slipping me. The guy that and he was supposed to like play DMX in DMX's biopic. Y'all know who I'm talking about? The guy that was on the
Yeah. I know you're talking
Michael,
about.
he died recently from an overdose. It's like it's coming just back to back.
You talking about the guy with the scar from The Wire? From The Wire.
Yeah, with the scar.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like back to back to back. Folks are, just overdosing. And part of the problem is too, these folks are getting these drugs and they don't know what they're laced with. So, kind of from a healthcare perspective, some of the stuff is rat poisoning. It's just all different types of things. Those people are cutting those drugs 15, 20 different ways to make the biggest profit off of them, and they're filling them with anything. So that's what results in a lot of the overdoses and that type of thing, because they're thinking that they're getting one drug, and of course there's no way for them to really test, if that's really actually what they're getting. So a lot of the recent overdoses have been because they're lacing these drugs with different stuff in an effort like to make it stretch further. So, unfortunately, it's just a bad situation. But I really do wish, again, going back to us as a community of Black people, I feel like there's something to that we have to be accountable for. And I really wish our rappers and hip hop artists would stop promoting this drug use in that way.
What else would they rap about if they didn't?
Man, that's a
But
deep.
music been about drugs though.
Yeah, for
For a long
years.
time.
Yeah, that's
For
why I was going to go
years.
into you, Sierra, like with the music, because we used to listen to it growing up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not even gonna name none of the artists because, man, I don't want to tell nobody the age. But it's a lot of stuff that we listened to back in then. You like, especially like I was listening to it the other day. It came on Satellite Radio the other day. Mystical. I Smell Smoke, and I'm like, dude, we was listening to that when we were 14, 15 years old. Like, I heard
Mr. Ice Cream Man
the
when
Ice
we
Cream
were
Man.
in junior high. And I've never smoked a day in my life. I never popped a pill a day in my life. And so, I mean, not saying, there
You
are
muted,
people.
Megan.
I am unmuted.
No, Megan is.
Oh.
Mother.
I mean, I'm not saying that. Oh, okay. I thought she was trying to say something. My bad.
Hey, go out and come back in, Megan. Yeah.
And I don't want to just blame hip hop. I mean, because like I've never smoked a day. Like I said, I never smoked a day in my life.
Me either.
I've listened to I Smell Smoke, Mystical. I listened to Mr. Ice Cream Man. I saw About It. Hey, I used to see the freaking drugs sitting on. I don't even want to say out it.
Right.
But it's like, I mean, I don't know if it's because my dad was on drugs and I saw how it affected him or whatever. I don't know. But I mean, I just can't sit there and blame hip hop totally for, the drug. I mean, my daughter listens to all this music. I have to listen to the music that she's listened to because I want to talk with her about it. I want her to understand what she's listening to and what she's hearing. So, I mean, I feel like listening to our kids' music, that's a conversation we can have with our kids because who finna listen to Young Boy? I don't even freaking,
Right.
But I do it for her to have that conversation so I can explain to her, so she won't go out and try to do the things that they're talking about in the music. What else I wanted to say? Is also start like with kids. I don't know who said, about the children, but, I work in mental health. We administer medication. I just had this conversation with a mother yesterday and she told me she didn't even want services anymore. And we didn't even have her in services. She had a 4-year-old. She said, my 4-year-old is just all over the place. She just won't sit still. She just won't be quiet. If I don't lock my refrigerator, she goes in the kitchen and she opens the refrigerator door and throw all the food on the floor. I need medication for her now and I need Adderall. I say, ma'am, your daughter's 4.
Right.
What you mean? You're not in my house. Ma'am, your daughter is 4 years old. You telling me you want to put your 4-year-old on Adderall? Even though a doctor is not going to prescribe it, because if a doctor do prescribe Medicaid, not going to pay for it. She's 4. Have you thought about parenting? Have you thought about putting in behavior, because they starting them early now. So I can see why it's a young thing now. Because they're starting them early because the kid won't sit still. Because in the schools are enforcing it. Kids won't sit still in the classroom. My son, 8 years old, he's homeschooled now. I had to pull him out of school. You want to know why? Because they say, oh, your son just plays with a pen. He was 7, you guys. Your son just plays with a pencil all day. Like the kid can literally play with his shoestring. Tell me what 7-year-old won't. He won't listen. He won't pay attention. And I feel like he's going to fail if we don't get something done. They don't know what I do for a living. That's the thing. I don't ever go into a place and say, hey, my name is Sierra. I'm a social worker. I don't do that. I'm coming to you as just a normal parent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your child I think he needs to be on some kind of medication. My son used to act like this and so white teacher. My son used to act like this, and I put him on medication. And after a while, he was awesome. He was great. He was able to sit down and listen. I say, "Oh, really? Yeah." Now that's when I go and I talk about. So you diagnosing kids now? I don't
Exactly.
think they taught that in school, like for you to become a teacher. I
And
think
no
that's my
credential.
job. That's my job to diagnose and treat, not yours.
And one of the
So
problems
that's
with
when I bring it up. So I actually had to take him out because I feel like that they were going to fail him. Because every day it was,
Mm-hmm.
uh, have you been to the doctor? Or we can get, the teacher to write it up, or we could get the principal to write it up. No, we don't need anything to write up. He just won't be here anymore. And parents have to advocate for their kids. I see so many parents coming into the to my office stating, "Oh, well, the school said that if I don't get, he can't come back to school until I put him on medication. Oh, the school said he can't. Oh, he can't do whatever until he's on medication, just so they can control him." But I don't. People are pushing medication more now, and I feel like we need to advocate for our children.
And I think
Can, can, can
also
I
that's
ask
because
you something?
there's an incentive for that now. Now you're
That's what I
keep
was
the
gonna ask.
disability checks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
That's
and that see now I care more about that than the child support. Because like you
yeah.
drugging your kids just
right.
to
Yes.
get some extra
Mm-hmm.
money, my
Yeah,
nigga, like
yeah, yeah.
that's the worst thing in the
Yeah.
world to me. And
I
you
was
should
And
gonna
not
when
be
they
ask
punished
get
for that.
that.
that, and when they get that, because all you need is the school to back you too. But the
Mhm.
thing is, when the school bring it up first, yeah, that's the next thing that go on the parents' mind. Oh, well, I could get them on. I could get them on a
Check.
social security check now. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, that kid has to show so much difficulty in the schools, and at home, and in the community now before they can give you a disability check. And we get cussed out every day for that because it's hard for them to get those checks now. But your kid has to be real, like have some type of real issues before they get that check in when it's mentally. Now disability and physical, that's different. But mentally, oh yeah, they're gonna have to write them up a couple of times before they give out a check for
Mm-hmm.
that.
And so, Dr. Higgins, when it comes to, kids, us as parents being afraid and scared that addiction thing may hit home, it may hit our children. Like, what are some things that you feel that, like what Sierra was just saying, just piggybacking on what she was saying about how the schools are and how the schools are pumping drugs down kids' throats, and then on top of that, the kids dealing with the school pumping it down their throat. Then when they get out of school, they got to deal with somebody giving it to them out on the street. So, I mean, what is your thoughts on that? You're muted. You're muted.
Just to let you guys know, I loved everything everyone said. And I just want to tell Brian, I really liked your response because you're talking about having a solution focused conversation. We know what the problem is. We've been talking about the same problem forever. So what are we going to do about it? And that's one of the tenets of CRT is to get us to understand critical race theory, to get us to understand that racism is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. So we just got to figure out how to make this system work for us. How are we going to maintain in this system? It is not going anywhere. And to understand that it is designed for the elite. So whenever they do something, I notice like whenever something happens or a law passed, Black people are quick to go, "Oh yay, finally they thought about us." No, they did not. If it did not benefit the elite, it would not have happened. It was never about us when they made that decision. If they couldn't benefit from it, it would not happen. So that's one thing I really love what you said about that. We do need a solution focused conversation and just not keep focusing on the problem. We've been talking about the same problem forever. We know what the problem is. And is it Lance?
Yeah.
Okay, as far as the drugs in between, the racial difference, studies show that there is a significant difference between Caucasians and African Americans as far as drug use. However, when it comes to incarceration, it is African Americans who are incarcerated the most for drug use. But studies actually show that there is a significant difference between the drug use of Caucasians and African Americans. And wait, mother? Is it mother? Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. I just want to, kind of piggyback on everything everybody said because y'all had some really good responses and I loved it. I just want to say to you too, I really loved your response and about the music. Yes, music, they've been talking about drugs for a long time. And I think it's the thing of Black people not holding Black people accountable. Because when you are a Black rapper and all you do is talk about drugs, the kids that look up to you the most are Black kids. So you are telling this to your own people. So we don't hold each other accountable because you know what? That kind of stuff sells. Just like we say sex sells, that kind of stuff sells. So as long as we keep buying into it, they're going to keep making that kind of music because it sells. It's about money. Nobody cares about if your child is going to be influenced by this music. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares if I'm telling this to your child. And I mean, I could listen to the music and it don't influence me. It didn't make me want to do anything. However, we do know that some people are not that strong. Everybody is not that strong. It didn't make me want to do anything. But we know as far as children, you can parent your children to the best of your abilities and they will listen to their peers. They will go out and do whatever their peers are doing. They're more influenced by their peers than they are you. And I just hate to say it, even as a parent, no matter what we're doing, how much we try. But the good thing about it, that when you are parenting to the best of your ability, then you have created that foundation. So even when they go out there and they do those things that they should not be doing, at some point in their life, they're going to come back to that foundation that you've set for them. They're going to get back on the right arrow because they remember what you've been taught. You know how like when everybody family has problems, have their issues. But if your family has this foundation to where you always come back to that ground floor, no matter what you go out there and do, you come back because you remember the things that you were taught. You know what I'm saying? You don't need anybody to tell you all day, every day that, that you're a drug addict and that you're messing up your life. They know that already. It's just not as easy for them to get off of it. They know that already. So they don't need to be bashed about what it is they're doing. They know that already. So I really love your response. And Sierra, as far as the children and the medication, I've always told people to be honest, it's not as easy for them to get, that SSI because of ADHD, because ADHD seems to be as common as a headache now. Because that's what they do. If your child is 3 and they can't sit down like most 3-year-olds can't, their attention span is not long. How many 3 and 4-year-olds that has a long attention span? The first thing they want to do is diagnose them with ADHD. But here's the thing. The way that child perceives the effects of that medication at such a young age is different than the way a child would perceive it at 14 and 15 years old. At, let's say, 7 years old, you may feel a certain way and you don't really know what's going on with your body. But at 15, if you feel high, you want to continue to feel high. You like that feeling. But a smaller child don't really understand what it is they're feeling. So they don't really feel any type of way about the medicine until they're older. And it's like, okay, every time I take this medicine, I notice I start to feel high. Even if you're in detention centers, you have to really watch them take their meds because they will take it from under their tongue and give it to somebody else who's willing to take that medicine out of their mouth for those side effects, just to feel a certain way. So when they're older, their perception of the way they perceive those feelings is different. They're able to really understand, how it's making me feel. I feel high. I want to feel high. I like the way it feels when I feel that way versus giving it to a smaller child who really don't understand that.
Wow. And that's okay. I mean, I ain't gonna follow it with that's like trying to go behind Aretha Franklin after she did a song. I'm not even gonna try to come behind you. I'm not. I mean, and just to be funny or whatever, I remember we used to sit in ROTC together.
Here you go with this.
Me and Marquita, yeah. And I used to sit over there and she used to be so quiet. She just sit down like so quiet. I used to mess with her every day. And but yeah, but she used to have these deep conversations. Even at that age, she was I mean, deep up here, like since then. And so I remember, those days sitting in class with her. But anyway, moving on to something that you said. This is one of the things that's happening in Texas right now. CRT, critical race theory, that you just brought up. They just passed a law here in Texas is that you can't teach. I want to make sure I'm not lying. I want to make sure I'm telling it right. You can't teach about the Ku Klux Klan. You can't teach about how evil they were. You can't teach about Martin Luther King anymore. You can't teach about Malcolm X anymore. You can't teach about anything that happened in that era because they don't want critical race theory. Now, the thing is, they don't understand this critical race theory mostly happens in college. It didn't happen in the schools. But I think that when these parents became, per se, some of them became genuinely woke, they start to teach their children, okay, this is what happened back then. This is what happened back then. You know, and I was just telling my daughter the other day about the Eve gene. And she was just mind blown about, oh, black women have a DNA strand nobody else has. Yes, they do. And so I'm trying to describe these things to her. But my question to you guys is, do you think that critical race theory should be taught to our children?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Lance.
Absolutely. I think all history should be taught. I didn't agree with all these statues being taken down. I already knew that was the segue to get rid of Black history. I already knew that. When you erase history, you erase knowledge and you erase power. You have to know the foundation that you come from, white, Black, Asian, or whatever the case may be, in order to make sure that the foundation that you build in the future is a sound and secure one. And I already knew that they were going to segue to this. I told people, I was like, I don't understand why they're taking away all these statues. I think we absolutely need to keep all these little white men who had all these slaves right there up on their pedestal so that people can go by and look at and see what the world could have become. So it doesn't become that again. There's what is it in Japan? I believe it might be Japan, or I want to say it's Japan and Korea. There's a certain part of areas that are erasing the history. I mean, they're basically did the same thing they did in Africa. They took all the scripture, they took all of the past knowledge, all of their scrolls, all of their statues, every single thing that represented anything from that basic history that was ruled by a different dynasty or a different ruler, and they destroyed it. And now there's people that don't even know that there was a Holocaust. They don't know that the symbol for the Nazi regime. They do not know that this even happened. They do not know anything about African slavery. They do not know about the time period of enslavement at all. They don't know anything about it, and that's exactly the way they want it. I think if you destroy one piece of history, you destroy everything that we built. And for better or worse, we gotta know that stuff. We've got to know. Because if anything, that's showing a pattern of success. I mean, no matter how you feel personally about any of these historical figures that we now say it was like horrible for them, they were living in a time age where that was acceptable. And that's just what that was. It was a time that was acceptable. I don't think it was right to get mad at a whole bunch of other people that don't even exist anymore, or to give off the perception of anger and disgust when we built a whole like monument to them. And I that's all I got to say on that. I just thought that was crazy and ridiculous in the first place when they started getting rid of white people statues. I was just like, why are we not letting them face their history? This is theirs. We should learn it.
I think banning teaching the critical race theory actually it confirms what it stands for. We just by you wanting to ban it, it's like you're proving it to be right. You're proving the theory to be right. And but see, here's the thing: when you acknowledge something, accountability has to take place. And when accountability has to take place, action has to take place. So let me tell you, don't be fooled into thinking that some of these people really don't know what it is we're talking about, what it is we're feeling, what it is we are witnessing in our communities everywhere. Don't be fooled into thinking that they don't know. They don't know. You ever talk to a person and you're not getting anywhere with the conversation? And it's not that they don't understand. They don't want to understand. They choose not to understand, because if they admit they understand, accountability has to take place and they have to act on it. They don't want to act on it. They don't want to change it because you know why? Changing it means they're going to have to give up some things that are helping them in their way of life. They're going to have to give up some things. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to give up those things. So they want to continue. I think it's ignorance by choice. It's ignorance by choice because you know what? When I don't know something, I want to research it. I want to learn about it. It is ignorance by choice because you cannot benefit from the truth. They can't benefit from the truth. So they choose to remain ignorant. There is absolutely no way in 2021 that you can still tell me that you still don't see what is going on. You can see as well as I can see. And if you're smart, you say you are, then you can see that. So there is no way I wouldn't waste my time sitting up there trying to get people to understand what it is we're feeling, what is it that we're going through, because I know they understand. They just they don't want to say that because then, like I said, accountability and action has to take place, and that's not what they want to do. That's not what they're ready to do, because if they do, they'll have to do without some things, and they're used to their way of living, and they're not ready to give that up.
Yeah, and I think
that's just all that is.
Yeah, I think it's a sense almost too of shame. Don't be embarrassed now of everything you did. So why do you not want your kids to know everything that you were doing? I think it's a sense of embarrassment. Everything is already whitewashed. We don't learn the truth of any, really black history things. We don't learn anything much about, they touch on slavery in the history books, but we don't learn any of all the horrible stuff that they were doing. And I think a lot of it is so from a sense of shame. Like, don't be embarrassed now. You guys were doing that. Y'all did it for 400 years and you keep on doing it. Let your kids know what you were doing. They need to know what you were doing. And I think that's part of the reason why they don't want it. Why be embarrassed now though? Y'all are America. Y'all are America the Great. Be proud of what it is that y'all were doing.
But why begin it with slavery? Our kids need to know that that's not how we started out.
Yes, right.
We were kings and queens. Start with that, but see, you don't want to teach them that they were once kings and queens because then they may get this idea that we can get back to that. So you don't want to teach them that this is what you could be, and I know you could be this because this is what your ancestors were. Exactly. So you were already born into this world, kings and queens. It's already in you. But if I tell you that, then one day you'll be foolish enough to try to be a king and a queen, and that's not what I want. So what I'm going to do is keep pounding in your head that you were slaves. And then if you pound it in a person's head long enough, they start to believe that we're all just slaves anyway. Then they start with that whole talk because they already have that slave mentality. We're all slaves anyway. Nothing we do is gonna work. We can't do this, we can't do that. Or people say, well, you know what, my vote don't matter. Well, if your vote didn't matter, why would they be trying so hard to get you not to vote? Why would they be locking you up, making you felon so you couldn't vote? Mm-hmm. Why would they be trying so hard if it wouldn't matter?
Voter suppression.
I think that's one of the issues too. I do think that I think CRT needs to be taught, but then it's like, who disperses the knowledge? Like, is it going to be the same white teacher that I had when they were giving me African American studies? Like, is it going to be separated? Like, why does it have to be separate? Why does it have to be a separate study? Why can't we just teach American history from the start to the finish and the truth? That could be CRT in itself. But they don't, and that's the thing, like, we would actually have to find, first of all, a teacher who's qualified and then one who cares. And that's extremely, extremely, extremely difficult to do in 2021, to find a teacher who not only is knowledgeable, but who actually cares and is passionate. And I think that's where the discrepancy is going to come in, is that the knowledge is not going to be dispersed right. You're right in saying that, Dr. Higgins. It's going to be, oh, this was slavery, this was slavery, this was slavery. Not this is the person who invented the filament in the light bulb, or this was the person who invented the traveling ice box so we can have deliveries, or this is the person who invented the stoplight, or this is the person who decided that this law should go in there and that law should go in there. And this was the first judge and how that first judge came about. It's not going to be that. It's going to be, oh, let's have some slave studies, and then let's just have some cookies and let's talk about that. And it's going to be a complacency that's applied to it, and it's going to be muddled down, and it's going to be watered, and that's just going to be venomous to the whole teaching in general. But I don't think that they should give up on it. I do think it should be an addition that's offered to online schooling. I think it would be beautiful if it was still offered, though, not as a requirement, but as an option to be taught by someone who actually gives a fuck and actually wants to educate how the African American race has strived and has integrated themselves, and how they've increased the societal awareness. But no, I don't think it should just be done in general. No, like not just a part of like historical studies. As far as that goes, you just need to fucking get a real American history book,
right?
And a world history book at that.
Right. But I like the idea of it being maybe just part of regular history, because I mean it really is. Y'all tell them the story of how y'all went and took these people. I think they need to tell the whole story. That's part of American history. America was,
but they didn't include it in history. The only thing about it is like since I've been in school, they've been teaching about the same few people. All of these kids know Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks. It's the same few African Americans. That's the thing. It's the same few. That's it. But the thing is,
the story. It does. They don't go into how they went and stole these people. They don't go into any of that. It just goes into say, oh, and slavery started. Like slavery just came out of nowhere. They say nothing about how it actually happened or none of that. And I think they should touch on all of that. These people were kings and queens in their land, and we went to their land and we stole these people and took them in a boat. I think they need to tell the whole story of how it happened and stop acting like slavery just came out of nowhere.
Right.
I get Lance's point, but here's the thing. Usually when you find somebody who let's say they majored and they're certified to teach African American studies. From my experience, these are usually people who are really serious about African American studies. Like when you take African American studies and you major in it and you graduate from, these are people who are really serious about that topic and they like to delve deep in it. Now, the thing is, it's like when they get a job teaching it, it's usually at some university. They may end up at Harvard or something like that. That's the thing. They're not really in the high schools. But these people are usually really serious about that topic.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And one of the things that stand out to me is there's a doctor, Dr. James Marion Sims, and he has a huge statue. And this is one of the things going on to what you said, Lance, about leaving their statues there. Okay, that's fine. But at the same time, they have a huge statue of him in Central Park in New York, right? And this man, in his diary, he has a diary that's in the Smithsonian, which I don't know why. But they say he's the father of gynecology, right? And most of his experiments were done on Black women. And he said that in his journal, he said that Black women have a supernatural power where they can sustain so much pain. And he said, I cut them open without anesthesia, without any pain, taking their pain away. I've cut them open. I've cut babies out of them. I've did surgery on them. And while they were looking at me and staring at me, and he said it's something so supernatural about a Black woman that they can withstand that type of pain. And so one of the things that he was responsible for, and they just had a huge thing in New York about this guy. And the statue's down now because the ladies went out there and they wore these hospital gowns with fake blood on the front of them where, like they were cut open. And so they eventually got it taken down. But one of the things that this guy did was he would take pregnant slaves and he would cut the women open and he would take the babies and take a little mallet and hit the babies in the head to see how much pain the baby could take, right? He would drill holes in the baby's head, right? Just to see what makes this little infant girl so strong and so she can withstand pain and she can withstand all this other stuff. Like what makes these women so strong? I need to cut into them to find out what that is. And so he was a horrible person. And I think in history, that needs to be taught. It needs to be taught that there were men cutting open Black women There were men raping black men, right? These things need to be taught. But like Dr. Higgins just said, it also needs to be taught that we had strong warriors. And and a lot of, if you want to go back in history, it's funny as hell to me because I'm goofy like that. But you can go back in history and see that when Christopher Columbus first got there to where he was going and he met them Africans, they whooped his ass. They beat the hell out. If you want to go read it, when they got off that boat, they got their asses whooped. Chris had to go get some more people. Oh, we can't go just in there and get them. They coming out the trees. You know, they barefooted running 20 miles an hour. What are those? We need to get those. And they came back and they took them, right? And so I had an opportunity to take my kids to Memphis and to see the slave trade, the slave houses, and they left them like they were. They're rotting, but you can go in and look at them and look at that we were able to get down under the floor where the slaves slid through little holes and how they hid under houses and all these different things. And I think that is so disrespectful to have all this whitewashed history book. Because I remember the history book sitting in class. All these whitewashed history books, and you never see anything about Shaka Zulu. You never see anything about kings in Africa. You never see anything about Egyptians. And then the Bible is so whitewashed. Moses was black. You know, he was Hebrew. Samson was black. You got all these different things. And then in Egypt, like, how they build them pyramids? How'd those pyramids get like that? How did they know the math to get them pyramids to be like that? You can't even put a piece of paper between those how they got that built. How did they lift those stones up? Those stones were a ton. How did they lift them? Like, so we are mysterious people, and they don't know that every Egyptian, I'm gonna say this and I'm done. Every Egyptian movie you see on TV are played by white people. Every Egyptian,
every single one of them. Every single one.
You probably see one black one in the back. He's an extra. But the stars of the show, they're all white.
Only time I say black people play Egyptian roles in Michael Jackson, you remember the time, and even that main actor was white.
And you know, and so I've seen a movie with Gerald Butler called Egyptian Gods or something, and they come out with their chest all out, and he's just white, and I'm like, dude. Like, these people were dark in color like you never seen. And I've always said to myself, if I ever could just win the lottery or talk to somebody that's got a lot of money under their belt, why can't we get a production movie made where they show they have an Egyptian movie where they have all black characters? Just the entire thing is just black characters. You know, you got to go get your men in Hollywood. You can have shit. Can you imagine Denzel playing the Pharaoh's father? You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine having, what's the guy that plays Ghost on Power? I can't remember his name. Can you imagine him playing
Hardwick?
Can you imagine him playing Moses or playing some significant African king? Like, that would be amazing, but Hollywood's not going to do that.
And Michael B. Jordan. Oh yeah.
Oh, you leave him out. He's too young.
Hey, I want to say something.
It sound like you hating, Dwayne. It sound like you hating.
Hey, I want to say something. I want to comment on this.
Yeah, go ahead,
on everything. Hey, check this out. So we talk about critical race theory, and all y'all are correct on that, right? The school need a teacher, whatever. But it goes back to what I said in the beginning. That's the white people public schools. Somebody mentioned something about voting. Well, back then, niggas voted to go to white schools to integrate with white people. So once you integrate into white society, they dictate this shit. This their shit. My thing is, yeah, we can complain, we can say these things, but I'm teaching my children about black. I always taught my children about black, who we are as black people. My children know everything, the atrocities that happen to our people. They understand how it is to be I use the word nigga. I'm an ignorant motherfucker, and I'm fine with it. But my grandmother had nigga on her birth certificate. So I'm just a different type of person. My family taught me, passed down through generations told me about white people, told me about my history. That's the problem. We keep going back to leaning on these people. Hollywood is owned by who? White people. They can do whatever the fuck that's they shit. As long as we teach our children instead of expecting white institutions, white education to educate our children. They can do whatever they want. They can tell our children whatever they want. So we're going to keep having these discussions about what white people should be teaching our children. We mad, we upset at what white people are teaching our children. But we are black as fuck, and we don't teach our children who we are as niggas. We don't.
Because we
Or
don't
black
know.
people. We can
A lot of
find
them
out,
don't know.
but we
A
hold
lot
on,
of
hold on.
folks don't know.
But I'm talking about us on this thing.
Yeah.
There are a lot of intelligent black people. I'm not talking about the people that's not in the sector of wanting to do better in life. I can't worry about those people. But us as black people, we come from families that taught us who we are as black people. Why we don't pass that down to our children? Why we not coming together and pass that down to our children instead of we're gonna get the same results? That's the white people books, the white people school, the white people rule, the white people country. We gotta start teaching our children that shit. I could never get out and say, hey man, I ain't teaching about slavery. Well, I can teach my motherfucking child about slavery. Who can better teach it than me? So why?
But see, Brian, here's the thing. We have, it is crazy, but we have a victim mentality. We're still waiting to be saved by oppressors. And if you know what oppressors mean, oppressors are doing what oppressors do. They are oppressing. So we're still sitting up here complaining and waiting to be saved by people who don't care about us. So it's just one of those things, that victim mentality. And as soon as we get out of that victim mentality, we can stand on our own feet and do what we need to do for our people. And I know y'all have heard people say over and over again, we are stronger together. And by that, y'all, we got to stop bashing the black men stop bashing black women. But we gonna have to stick together on this. I'm just saying, like, what can we do if we're bashing each other? Black women hate black men hate black women. What can we do? We are stronger together. What can we do if we're gonna keep bashing each other? If we already feel like if we feel like we're disliked already, then what good is it doing for us to dislike each other?
Yeah,
but
that's
like
make it make sense.
That's my thing.
It's the very struggle. It's the very struggle to make our oppressors bend their own wills to our way that allows us to touch out to the black people who couldn't give a shit about this. My dad was a son of a bitch, but he brought me eyes on the prize when I was a child. Made me scared to death of rope because that was the first time I had seen a black man hung. But I had, up until 2019, I had no idea how much of a racial society I was living in because I had already been taught to integrate. What I had not been taught was that racism was still very much there and to look for the signs of it because I had already gotten into this. I'm born in 86. So I'm, 2004, I'm 18, so by the time I was 14, I had already gotten in this mode of being taught of how to see us as a conjoined, togethered race. And thank God for my dad who made me care about that kind of stuff. Even though he was a bigot and he was a racist and he was a homophobe, but I see now the pressure that he was trying to teach me that was behind the back of my neck, and I was not even aware of it because I was born with that pressure. I was born with that foot in the back of my neck. So it's because of people continuing to have this conversation, because of fathers and mothers who open up this dialogue to kids who seem like they don't give a shit. It's that very same reaching out. So I kind of have I kind of feel a certain type of way, Brian, when you say I can't worry about them. That's absolutely opposite of what we should be doing. We have to worry about them.
It's a waste of time. I'm not. I can't worry. Listen. We waste time. We've been wasting. Listen, man. I grew up I was born in 82. All my life I've been hearing the same bullshit that you said. We got to pull everybody. We've been pulling folks. And we still behind. A lot of people just got to burn the parish, man. A lot of people just not meant to move on in life, bro. The dope fiend on the corner. We pass dope fiends every day. There's no point of me trying to save a motherfucker that don't want to be saved. So I look at it like this. Let me get somebody that see the light. while they still can see the light instead of me that somebody already dark. That's wasting time. That's why I like to deal with people that's trying to move forward. If you still at the bottom, it's people out there that can deal with it, but I'm not. We got to move forward. We are behind. We are behind. We are behind.
And let me say this, because that
we are
goes into
behind
something
all this.
that goes to something that goes back to what Harriet Tubman said. One of the quotes that she said. Harriet Tubman said, "I saved 1,000 slaves, and I could have saved 1,000 more if they knew they were slaves."
Mm-hmm.
So that goes into what Brian is saying, and also if y'all go read the biography of Harriet, she was a bad. She played no games. She had in the biography she had where she was on a train. And one of the guys said, "No, I got to go back. I got to go back. The master gonna kill him. I got to go back. I got to go back and be with master." She said, "If you try to get off this train, I'm going to blow your brains out." She said, "I cannot allow you to go back to master and mess up the success I've had of saving the rest of these people. So if I have to kill you, I will kill you. But you're not getting off this train."
Goddamn right.
But sometimes, but that shows you the sheer force. She was not going to let another black person suffer under their own standard, not for themselves or not for anybody else.
I'm not saying listen, she ain't having a person that's gonna stop the greater good of what she's trying to do is free the niggas that want to be free. That's what she's trying to do. Because if you go back to master, you're gonna fuck the game up.
I just feel like if you're standing for the greater good, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you.
Yes,
and I feel like your knowledge and your passion will your knowledge and your passion and your integrity and your discipline will infect everyone. It might not infect them directly. It might not.
Lance, you live in a fairy tale, dog.
I'm living a fairy tale that I am the subject of. I'm telling you, this happened to me. I was integrated. If it wasn't for 2019, 2020, I wouldn't care as half as much about the black community as I do now. And it is all because I had a father who refused to not let me go on this journey of life without teaching me what created this life that I had the privilege of having a journey on in the first place. It didn't even hit me until the age of 33 that this is real, this is present, and I have to be involved. I don't care if you do pick up my knowledge. I'm putting it down, and I'm putting it down for everyone. It doesn't matter. And I think we have to stop giving up on each other. I hate that we do that. I hate that we give up on each other. You know, I went through a whole lifestyle where I was constantly not accepted by a black person because of the person I wanted to fuck or the person that I spoke like or the stuff that I was interested in. But it did not stop me from loving black people. It didn't matter how much they were a dope fiend. It didn't matter how much they did, whatever they did. I had to believe in my heart that it was because there was no one that was invested enough to show them that they're worth more. And I can say that there's plenty of black people that I feel like I've had an integral part in their life because of my refusal to shut up, my refusal to let them stand aside and go and walk into this fucking weary ass fucking path that they're trying to walk without any kind of substance or any kind of knowledge or any kind of like support. And I'm not saying support like, you know, carry, like pick them up by the hand and carry them by the baby, but I mean like, damn, drop a med pack and keep it moving. I mean, drop something right there. You got to plant seeds. That's all we can do. We're catching up for 400 and some years. That's a lot to catch up on.
Man, you can't say grown folks, man. We got to focus on these babies. We gotta put seeds in these babies, not these grown folks. These
grown folks is the one who's talking to the babies.
No, it goes back to the village. The village got to get these kids back in order.
We gotta heal the village first. We gotta heal. We gotta heal the people in charge of the village.
The village is fucked up, man. So we gotta get back to the children. We gotta get to the children. We can't waste our times on grown folks that don't want to change, bro. We gotta teach the children. Yes, these kids are. I deal with adolescents that kill people that done fucked up shit, rob, murder, all that, and their households is fucked up. But you know what the problem was? Nobody never just told them anything. We never get, us men and women don't reach out to these little young motherfuckers. It goes back to why I always tell people we so concerned about our own children, but we ain't never concerned about them. I don't do
That's
like
true.
the talking. I always talk what are we doing? Are we fucking with these little kids? Or are we just on here talking about it? You feel what I'm saying? I don't know what y'all do. I'm just not y'all, but we gotta talk to the kids, man. We can't be worried about these dolphins. We can't worry about motherfuckers that just finding out about stuff. Okay, cool, whatever. They live their life. We gotta get these young babies so when we die, they don't have to keep complaining about child support, complaining about dealing with the wrong woman, complaining about dealing with the wrong man. We gotta teach these kids right now. So when they come up, they don't gotta deal with the bullshit because our grandparents didn't know. Our parents kind of didn't know, but we know because we saw everything. So we gotta teach these babies. Well, for me, I ain't studying no adult. I don't really care about no adult. I care about these kids. These kids need to be talked to. We need to start. Well, people like myself, we need to continue to talk to these kids and put positive seeds in their mind. Just like somebody said, when you can teach a child all the good things and they still do bad. But when they come back to what they know and there's positivity. But we keep putting positive in these little poo shiesty NBA young boy kids. They might have a chance. These little babies. But adults, I ain't wasting my time. I'm like my brother said, I don't give a damn about DMX dying of a drug overdose. I don't care about all these folks dying of drug overdoses. In our families, we have seen dope fiends tear up families. There's nothing good about a dope fiend in the family. And I don't know why we act like when we see a dope fiend die, oh man, woo woo woo. But look how they tore apart the family. Beat up grandma, stole from grandma, beat up granddad to get some money. You think I give a fuck about them? I don't give a fuck. I'm worried about these babies.
Well,
That's
it was
me,
the
man.
dope. It was the dope fiend in my family that taught me about Black knowledge and Black history and Black
Shout out to
power
that dope
and the
fiend.
power. And I mean, whether it was, but it was my dad, and whether it was before or after, I don't know. But you got to pull goodness. You got to pull whatever you can pull out of whatever you can pull. Now you say forget about these adults, but the adults are the infection too. So we have to do something about them. Are we going to get rid of them? We're just going to kill all the Black people that we don't agree should be Black or don't agree should be adulting
You gotta
and
get to the
children.
children. You gotta get to the
I know,
children,
but
brother.
you got to sometimes that take getting to the parents too. That's
Because
all I'm saying.
the parents are not parenting. So when
That's true.
kids are
That's
out, there are
true.
kids out here raising themselves. So
That
listen,
is
when you
true.
connect with the ones that's raising themselves, you got to get on these kids' level and speak to those kids that's in these fucked up situations with these mamas, daddies, and grandparents.
I
It's
think
a
part of it is
solution.
too. Y'all spoke to the village, but unfortunately there is no village anymore. It's not the way it was back in the day. People, if it used to be, if I was going down the street and I was out of line, the neighbor could whip my butt and everything.
Yes,
Would tell me,
sir.
"Oh, get your fast tail ass to this." Like they would get on it. These days, if you do something like that, you're risking getting cussed out.
Okay.
Like it's not the way that it used to be, and I think that's a big part of the problem. Like we need to get the village back in place for these kids. It's not like that at all. Like it's to the point, and it's sad to say, I only have one cousin in my family that I feel like that with about her kids. Other than that, even some of my family members, some of my cousins, I feel like I can't tell them nothing about their kids because they gonna get so defensive, and they already know I'm straight up and down. Don't send them to my house if I can't whoop their ass. Don't send them over here. They don't need to be over here because I'ma love on them and I'ma treat them exactly like I treat my kids. I'ma buy them whatever, and they can eat whatever the case is. But if I can't discipline them, if I can't whip them, they do not need to be in my house. And so I think that's part of the problem. Like the village is gone. They out here disrespect, and it used to be like an older person, even an older lady, even if you didn't know them in that way, an older person, could give you advice or could say something. These days they cussing out old, like they don't care.
Well,
It's no
you gotta look.
respect for the village. It's no respect for none of that.
Well, the older people was never respecting the young people. See, the older people, when the young people was trying to reach out and speak and talk, and the older generation shot those kids down, didn't want to listen to these kids. So now,
because they was speaking from a white viewpoint.
but
True.
They were
You got to
being
think about their
integrated with
background.
that bullshit.
Yeah.
but listen, but that's understandable. But a young child don't understand that, so
Yeah,
that's why now we got to start speaking on a little motherfucking level. We can't just talk to them sensible like the elders talk sensible to us. That's what I noticed. I noticed talking verbally, you know, kind of verbally fucked up to these little motherfuckers. They listen. They retain it better. They
Gotta get on
listen.
their
A
level.
lot of
I
these
get
little
that.
motherfuckers, I tell them all the time, a lot of y'all gonna go to prison anyway. But prison ain't bad. A lot of niggas I know they got out of prison look good, working, starting businesses. They ain't want to go back no more. They look good, healthy, looking good when they get out of there, and they're alive. Saved a lot of them. Because if they didn't go to prison, they'll be dead. So we gotta
But you
tell
know what?
some
We
of these
have to
bad motherfuckers the
consider.
reality.
We have to consider all of the things these kids are internalizing and the way they're internalizing it. Why? Because see, when we was brought up, we were told we didn't have feelings. Kids don't have feelings. They do have feelings. They're human.
Yeah,
But we were
goddamn
told they
right.
don't. And so it's a cycle you just repeat to where you don't
Exactly.
allow them to tell you how they feel. And I don't think there's anything wrong with them telling you how they feel as long as they're
Exactly.
respectful about it. They do
Can
have
I say
feelings.
something?
And as adults, we're not always
Yep.
right.
You to be
We're
seen
not
and not
Exactly.
always
heard.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
seen and not
still,
My
heard.
yeah.
mother, my
Yeah.
mother
But what
didn't do
happens
that.
when you make them feel like they don't have a voice and they don't have feelings? What happened?
Exactly. They shut down and they go to the
And then the
outside.
thing
And
is, you can't tell them anything about their children at all. If you correct the child, pull your pants up, all that, and then you got to fight the mama coming with the sister, the boyfriend coming. You got to fight the whole family. But guess what? Soon as that child end up locked up or end up dead, now they want to reach out to you and everybody else for a
Because somebody
yeah.
helping
GoFundMe
on their
account
The
books.
because now we
GoFundMe,
need to bail them
they
out of
selling
jail
fish dinners.
or we
They got
need to
all
bury
that.
them. Now I
T-shirts.
need you. I didn't want you to correct them, but now I need you for that. Now I'm gonna
right.
reach out to you because now I
I
need
want to
help
harp
bailing
on
them out of
something.
jail.
I want to harp on something what you said. One thing I'm thankful about, my mother and father allowed me to express how I feel. My father, like I didn't grow up in a household where I was a kid and you shut the fuck up. What I say is right. When my parents made mistakes, they and let's say they whoop me right, and I said, hey, now I ain't do that shit, and they still whoop my ass. They'll come back later and apologize. Say, hey, listen, my bad, woo woo, and that taught me a lot. And when I see other my peers as kids, when they parents say, shut the fuck up, you don't know what you're talking about, but the parent was wrong. And that kid internally holds that in and has anger towards their parent. That's why you see,
Mhm.
as what mother said the first week, I think, or Sierra, one of them said that, you know, that's why you have a lot of I know I ain't trying to go level, but that's why you have a lot of men that resent women. You know what I'm saying? You see a
Mhm.
lot of men out here that resent women because their mother shut them down, emasculated them, beat them down mentally. You got women out here that don't get along with their mothers because the mothers was jealous of them, or the mother used to abuse them, or the mother used to pick things over them, you know, little stuff like that. So that does have an effect, you know. So I'm happy and thankful that I grew up in a family that taught me who I am as a black man first, who I am, and allowed me to express myself and taught me to always speak how you feel and stand on how you feel. Don't ever let white people, don't cry about what white folks doing. Continue to do you. And I
Shout
just
And
out to
ain't
to,
your
that
to,
nigga.
parents.
to that,
Yeah.
yeah, to that same point, we are like, pretty broken as a people. If y'all look at us compared to every other race, we're like the only race that doesn't stick together. The Chinese stick together. Even the Africans, the Nigerians, they stick together. The Mexicans, you'll see the Mexicans, they'll have 3, 4 families living together. And guess what? They doing that so one of the families can get their own house. And you got a set of women that watch the kids all day. It's some of them that work. You got a set of women that keep the house clean. We can't do that. We gonna be worried about what the next man doing. Oh, they ain't kick it in. They thought, oh, she got me messed up. She think we just have that mentality. Even like the Iranians and Indian people, you see them with their stores and their gas stations. The man at the gas station by my house, I hadn't seen him. I happened to see him in there, and I said, "Where you been?" He said, "Oh no, I was just getting this store together from my cousin." He said, I'm getting together from my cousin, and then he's going to set it up, and he's going to do it for 6 months until I can get my own place. And so they help each other out. They do that type of stuff. We, unfortunately, as a people, it's sad to say some of that crabs in the bucket mentality is true. And I
So
took an African American studies class, and apparently a lot of this comes from slave mentality. And it's
Well, it
really
been like
sad.
it's just not slave mentality. This shit was going on before slavery. This shit was going on in Africa. It was always a tribal thing. It's just like when Africans come
Yeah,
over here, they don't fuck with the niggas over here. They don't fuck
yeah,
with the American niggas. That's a tribal thing. They don't fuck with the Igbo. They don't fuck with the Samis or whatever the fuck the name of that different tribe. So we always been divided, even before
as
slavery,
a people,
before America.
yeah.
I mean, that's the
And
Yeah,
so
reason
we
why
I
we're
always
able
think
to be
when we
divided.
talk
overcome is
about
because
that,
of our
yeah,
division.
we really need to work on, and we're never going to be able to until we get together and become united. They're going to always be able to break us down.
There's
And
never
So
gonna
I
be there's
Yeah,
never
don't
gonna
we
be
need to admit we're screwed up. We are screwed
yeah,
up, and we just need
yes,
to
exactly.
keep it
it's a
real.
lot
We
of
are messed up,
healing.
and we need to stop
Yeah,
telling these kids, I went through this, I went through that, and look at how I turned out. Yeah, look at how you turned out. The crazy
yeah,
part is that you really think you're okay. The way you are is so normal to you that you think you are okay. You are not okay. What do you
so you're
mean? Look at how you turned out. You're not
So
okay.
so you're saying toxicity
yeah. So
is normalized.
Not
oh
to,
yeah,
Exactly. And we think because we've been through certain things and my mama did this or my daddy did this and look at how I turned out. Yeah, look at how you turned out. And
yeah,
you right. Toxicity is so normalized. You think your behavior is so normal that you don't think anything is wrong with you. And you're telling these kids, look at how I turned out. Yeah, look at how you turned out. Do you really think you're okay? You are not okay. You're not okay. And we just need to understand that we are not okay. We are screwed up.
but here's the
Okay.
thing though. Here's the thing though. What pattern do we learn from? Because if the Nigerian and the Libyan and all these other African, divisions are divided, and as slaves, we were divided by either our loyalty to our master or our desire to escape that slavery. If then that's safe to say, okay, then the black man who is leaving his family and abandoning his family, he's not doing anything wrong. The only thing he's trying to do is find his own tribe. So it's like, at what point what do we model ourselves after?
well, I
Where
think
do
it
we
comes.
where
Model
do we
yourself
go
after
from here?
I
yourself.
think
You
think
go
it
with the
comes.
spirit.
Yeah, it
But
comes from
then
healing.
that would involve entrusting the knowledge that we have and saying that it is our truth and believing in it. When in actuality, that's that and just like Dr. Higgins said, that's what people are doing right now. They're saying, well, my parents turned out this, my parents turned out like that, and look how I turned out. That's what Joe's saying is toxicity, but that's what black women are doing. They're saying, you know what? I can't do what my parents did. I can't do what my grandparents did. This is me, and this is my truth, and this is the truth. And this is how I'm going to live my life. And my kids are going to live this life. And this is what it's going to be. So we can't sit up here and say that black people are doing something wrong when in actuality, I personally feel like black people are like the best race alive because we are able to have a varied dynamic and still say that we are one. I think the problem is that we haven't defined what one means. It's just like America. I was just having a conversation with my friend today about this Trump shit and all this and what we could do. And I said the only solution that I see to changing our government is to stop working. That is the essential thing that keeps the grease on the wheels running for this fucked up government. If we all stopped working for a day, I was like, you see how much change we had made, and just because people had enough time to pay attention to police brutality, because people had enough time to watch it unfold, and people had enough time to join in. So it's like you can say black people are wrong or right, but in my eyes, I'm just like, I don't see it as a wrong or right. That's why I don't see. That's why, yes, I feel very, very deeply about leaving any black person in the dust. Because how can we sit up there and judge a black person when we yet to define what it means to even be a black person?
Oh, I
One,
know
and
what
where
it
we
is to be a
go
black person.
Well,
I know what it is. You know what I'm saying?
as
Like
a, as a whole. I know
I'm
you
not
got
a
a specific.
it's
You got a
but
specific
listen,
definition.
it's a lot of black people. Listen, bro, we keep it's in my opinion, I think 80% of black people are good fucking people. We so stuck on this 20% of black people that's kind of fucking up the vision of who we really are. There are dope black people out here. There are black people that are working together. there is just I guess we always look at the negative. Maybe I'm around a bunch of black folks that's doing something together, and I'm seeing this all the time.
I think it
I
is.
see
I
the
think
nigga
you do.
shit.
Perspective.
I
Yeah, I
think
mean,
you are.
it's all in
You see what I'm
perspective.
saying? Like everybody ain't gonna come together. Like certain person, like y'all personality probably don't click with mine. So guess what? But long as we know, okay, that's a black man doing his thing over there, and she doing her thing over there. Cool. That's it. I don't gotta work with you. That is fine. I just need 10 people, the 10 people I know, and let's go our vision. Let's do our thing so we can think what we doing for the community. Lance
Now let me
doing
ask.
his thing.
Well, I,
Now let me ask this
I don't think
question.
any of
Go
it
ahead, Megan.
is
Go ahead,
right or
Morgan.
wrong. I just want to say this. Charlamagne posted, and I thought it was so like I was really into it. He posted this today. He said the real generational wealth comes from healing, and I just believe that. I don't think that any of it is right or wrong, but I think we as a people need to heal. And I think if we focus on that, no matter like what your definition of being black is or being one, I think that's that's the biggest
I agree.
generational wealth thing
I
that we can give
I agree.
to the next generation and to the future is for us to
I
heal
agree.
and to
Now I
teach
do
them
agree
how
with
to
that.
heal.
That's
All right, now
one
let
thing
me
I
ask.
see. White people don't never leave their people behind. I
Oh
mean,
no,
ever.
never,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, they
ever.
heal and
ever.
Yes, they do.
they teach
They
yeah, they
leave
teach
them
them how
behind.
to heal.
If they don't bring you up in it, they set you to the side and invest in some other stuff and then wait for you to get ready to come up in it. But they never just leave you out. Like they
Man,
never. I never.
what
I
all
me
have you been
personally.
across America? Have you been
I
to
ain't been
Wisconsin?
nowhere. No,
Hey,
that's what I'm saying. But I'm talking about here in
white
my own
people ain't the upper
backyard.
echelon of shit. We take better care of our people. White folks adopt their kids. I mean, they give away their kids away. Black folks, we take in our babies. I would
Because
never say a white person do better than us. We do
they
way better than white
I
folks. We
done seen
got better
look.
morality. I'm sorry. But go.
I've seen, yeah, you're right. I've never seen that many black people get their kids away. I have seen a lot of black women get abortions though. And unfortunately, in my experience, in my perspective, that's what I've saw. Now, it's not to say I haven't seen any white people have abortions either, but I've known of like maybe 2 or 3, as opposed to like the 10 or 15 that I've known that have been black. And it maybe has a difference between to do where I am. Maybe it has a difference between to do like with the age group that I'm usually around. But I'm telling you, like I see a lot of black people suffering. And it's not suffering as in like they're doing bad, but it's suffering as in just like an ignorance or a lack of knowledge or a lack of support or a lack of togetherness or feeling like there is a lack of support, feeling like there is a lack of togetherness when in actuality, like there's people around and they're willing to help. They just don't know who to trust anymore because we don't have a good, strong unit in general. And that's what I'm talking about. Like when do we like as black people like define our unit? Like when do we have our own creed? You know, like I believe that I believe there's some organization to be done as far as like if we're talking about like black support and creating a black village. I think there's a lot more organization that we need to do on our part for the people that can do.
Now let me say this. What do you say to people? Because I understand, I hear everybody's side of this story, and man, this is a awesome conversation. So, what do you say to people that say, we always say pick ourselves up by the bootstraps, and I heard Dr. Higgins say that we're messed up as a people. But then, what happens when that little boy and that little girl comes to us and say, "Mama, Daddy, I know black people are messed up, and I know we need to heal, and I know that we need to get ourselves back together and have some dignity. But Mama, what about the people that was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that did pull themselves up out of bootstraps, did own movie theaters and restaurants, and they did own barbershops, and they did own farms, and they had their own little city, and the white people just came in and blew it up, killed all the kids, killed the women, killed the daddies, drug them down. I mean, one of the last survivors, she just passed away, I think a year ago. She was 99 or 100. And she said she remembered her father telling her to sit under this floor of this house, don't move. And she said she saw her dad from under the house being dragged by a horse down the street. And just dragged. And they had their own little town. And because they were so successful, because there was a little issue, they blew them up and they killed they just slaughtered everybody. And they said they even saw military aircraft dropping bombs over the buildings and blowing them up. So, when you have that type of thing that's going on, you say to your kids, how do we respond to that? I'll ask that question, then we'll go to our last segment for the night. But I'll ask that question. When you look at places like Tulsa, and you see how those black people were millionaires and had businesses and they were successful and they dressed eloquently and the women were beautiful and the men were dressed every day and the children were, it was a village. What do you say to what happened to those people?
I think to me, for my kids, and I educate my kids, even now as little as they are, I educate them at the level because I want them to know what our people have been through. And to me, I use that as ammo. Like, hey, we need to, at this, it's grind time. We need to take back what's ours. Like, I use that to let them know, like, hey, we come from a people, even though those people were still at that time, even way back then, dealing with oppression and dealing with Jim Crow and all the things that they were dealing with, they were still able to accomplish a very financially stable and a very financially successful city and town. And so even though unfortunately, that ended up happening to them, I think it's still a success story because of all that they were able to accomplish. So I would teach it to my kids in a way to say, hey, it's possible. We're not dealing with nearly half of the things that they were dealing with at that time. So, we have lots of opportunity available. And so I would use it in terms of like ammo, like, hey, this is your ammunition, go out. It's possible. Our ancestors did it and they had this, and that going on. We have so many more opportunities than them. Like, hey, it's grind time. It's time to take back what's ours.
Right. And so for the last question for the night, and then we'll meet next week again. But guys, before we go into this last segment, man, you guys have been on it tonight. Man, you guys have been on it tonight. So, man, I hope whoever watches this and hopefully when everybody get off and it goes on YouTube, y'all share with your family and friends. But man, this has been amazing. So the last thing I want to talk about is this. A lot of people don't want to talk about this and it's uncomfortable and it's fine. We're going to talk about it tonight. Our last segment, black spending. Why do we keep crawling back? There's so much happening as far as designers. Tommy Hilfiger, racist. They got the people that's coming out with the noose, right? You had the situation with Louis Vuitton, right? You had the situation with all these different white people that provide, clothes and shoes and Nikes and all these different stuff. Why black people spend $1 trillion a year in retail? $1 trillion a year. The dollar rotates, doesn't even rotate a day, a 24-hour period in the black community, right? And so why is it that we keep crawling back to the very people that we know are racist? Go ahead, mother.
We talked a lot about it last week, the media. And so if you notice, like all these rappers, this whole hip hop culture, it's about everybody's Gucci down, everybody's Louis Vuitton down. Even though these people have made it blatantly obvious that they don't want black people in their merchandise. Gucci did a whole blackface ad, and I thought they were supposed to be getting canceled with this whole cancel culture that we have, but no, they never did. All the rappers you see, everybody are still rocking Gucci, still rocking Louis Vuitton. So it's almost it's a media thing, and it kills me. In Houston at the Galleria. The Galleria is so ghetto now. It's so hood, and they all down there spending all their money in the Gucci stores, and in the Louis Vuitton stores, and so I mean that's one piece of it. And so kind of switching gears a little bit to the black businesses though, and forgive me, I love me some black businesses, but we got to hold them accountable too. If you are providing a service, it needs to be on time. I'm expecting the same thing from you that I'm expecting if I were to go to a big retailer, to a non-black retailer. If you have a cleaners, just because Big Mama is in the hospital, you can't close down. I need my clothes. I don't care what type of service or product that you're offering. I think we have to hold, and there are some black businesses that do a really great job, but then you have some that almost give it a bad name. And it's like, well, no, I'm not just going to shop with you because you're a black business. I do want to support you, but you have to be running an ethical business. You have to be running a business with good customer service. And so I think I've seen too many times, like I said, I love supporting Black businesses and even promoting Black businesses, but sometimes they don't always meet the mark. And I think that's something that we have to start holding each other accountable for. I hate when I go on social media and I see these boutiques or these Black and even different Black photographer businesses, and they're bashing the customers. Oh, y'all need to do that. It just some of the stuff is just so rude. It's things that you would never see a large company doing. And I really want to tap them on the shoulder and say, like, hey, that's inappropriate. That like it's not right. It's inappropriate. But at the same time, y'all want to be preaching supporting Black business.
So
I
okay,
think
go ahead. Go finish.
No, I was just saying, I think part of it is, I know, like myself, I do want to support Black businesses. I want to support Black vendors. I want to support Black designers. And I do as much as I can. But I think part of it is that some of these Black businesses are not exactly meeting the mark, and that we need to be able to hold them accountable.
Now, to push back on that, okay, I agree. And I'm gonna speak on the Black businesses first, and then I'll go into the other one. Black businesses, to me, you said on time was a good thing, but my thing is also Black businesses have to understand that you also have to be competitive in the market. It should not be to the point where I can come to you and your t-shirt business, and you're selling me one shirt for $35, and I can go over to the white lady store and get 5 for $20. Like you have to be the marketplace value. You have to meet the marketplace value. You cannot overcharge people and then expect Black people to come and Black people are already struggling financially. So they're going to go where the cheapest stuff is. They don't care what color you are, right? But then the thing I want to push back on is this. We talk about I want to play devil's advocate for the Black businesses, because then we talk about Black businesses and they're overpriced, or they're not on time, or they're not doing what they're supposed to do. But then I saw a guy's name was James Spencer or something like that. But he said he works for the Walmart Corporation, and he said the reason that we don't lose business when customers call in and complain, and they have these they say they're not going to shop with us anymore. He said we have something that anything that we laugh about called the Necessary Evil Act. And he said, as long as we're the necessary evil, we don't care what the people say. We don't. You guys get an opportunity to watch the documentary. Go on Netflix. There's a Walmart documentary. It'll blow your mind. And so Walmart they get Black people to come work for them. They've had instances where they lock Black people in the store and not let them out. Right? Go watch the documentary. It's on Netflix. I'm telling you, it'll blow your mind. They've had a situation where they let Black people out. They made a deal with the government that if we get all the Black people to work for us and you put them on food stamps, Walmart has this thing. If they're on food stamps, we're not going to give them raises. They're going to be to a certain point of what we'll pay them. Right? So Walmart is this horrible place. How many times have you gone in Walmart and seen 2 registers open and 15 empty? And you say, you know what? Damn Walmart. I ain't going back to damn Walmart no more. They get on my damn nerves. And next week, you're in there buying bread. You're in there buying shoes. You're in there buying a t-shirt for the baby. You're in there buying orange juice. You're buying milk. You keep going back. We keep crawling back to the very people that don't give a damn about us. All they care about is that dollar. And the thing that amazed me the most about the documentary, the sad thing is about the low-class people, not the low-class people, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. About the people that are less fortunate that work for Walmart, that are living paycheck to paycheck, is that the fact that when they get paid, they put 80% of their check right back into the store. Walmart is winning on every level. Have you ever seen somebody with a Walmart jacket on, standing in line buying food? Right after they get off work, they got a cart full of groceries and shoes and clothes and toothpaste and deodorant, right? And they spend, their check is $300. They spend $175 in there, and they just gave all their money right back to Walmart. Walmart's winning, but we keep going back. We keep crawling back. Hey, Walmart, we here. Target, we here. Walmart dealing with racism right now, even in Conroe, right by you, mother. In Conroe, they have a class action lawsuit right now about the security guys beating up people in the store and hemming up Black people in the store and saying that they're stealing when they're not stealing. And they have a class action lawsuit right now. But Black people are not going to get together and say, can you imagine if Black people got together and said, we're not shopping at Walmart anymore? They would go bankrupt. If Black people stop shopping anywhere, Black people, like Dr. Higgins said, if we got together and stopped shopping anywhere, the world will go bankrupt. $1 trillion. If black people say, you know what, we're going to control the narrative. We spend $1 trillion a year. We're not going to that Galleria. We're not going to the Gucci store. We're not going to Louis Vuitton. We're not going to Walmart. Oh, that's a racist Walmart? Oh, no, we're not going over there. They will go bankrupt. Black people, we have so much power that we don't have control of. But I'm gonna go ahead and go to you, Sierra. I mean, when it comes to black spending, why do you feel like we keep crawling back to the people that don't give a damn about us?
Well, you say, why do we keep crawling back when we never crawled away? I mean, because, like, come on, it's like Mother said, it's all about the media. I mean, like, I don't buy Gucci. I don't even know what Gucci look like, what it's worth or how it's worth, because I'm not going to buy it. It's too expensive for me. You know, but you got these people, like you say, at Walmart making it $300, but they're going to go spend that $300 on Gucci. I mean, we don't even have, like a lot of people talking about generational wealth. We don't even have generational wealth. We don't have anything. I mean, we are trying to create it now, but it's like, how are you going to create it when we're spending it in places that just going to take everything that we have? Like, my children don't know anything about, well, I'm sure they do now, well, my 16-year-old, because she's in high school now, but she never asked me for the latest things because I never brought her up on the latest things. You know, I'm not trying to bash my sister. I love her to death, but my sister is a label person. If you got a Gucci hat, you got to have the Gucci belt. You got to have the Gucci shirt, shoes, pants, everything. And her kids are like that too. And I feel like that's where we start, you know, with the children. And my sister say the reason why she does that is because we weren't able to get it. But I never worried about being able to have the latest. You know, I didn't want the Tommy Hilfiger. I didn't want I don't know, just send me to rave. I know a lot of people don't know nothing about that.
Man.
Come on, rave.
Rave. Wow.
You know, just send me to rave and I was good. I didn't want all of that. So I feel like, and my mama didn't instill that in me. Not saying that I didn't have it, because I had Nikes, you know, but it was, you know, it wasn't the highest price Nikes. I didn't buy my daughter Jordan, you know. She probably got a pair now, but she has one pair, and I only bought that for her birthday. It's because that's what she wanted. You know, but I just feel like we need to grow. We need to save our money. You know, most of the white people, their generational wealth come from life insurance. They don't do GoFundMe. They do real estate. I mean, like, they're into all of that. And see, like they say, we're still like years behind, and we're now just catching up on this. We're now just realizing, oh, okay, so this is how they do it. I used to work hospice, and I was with black families, I was with white families. And guess who the one I was scrapping up, calling not insurances, calling funeral homes. I'm sorry, calling funeral homes trying to say, hey, what's the cheapest funeral package you have? I was doing that for my black families because they didn't have any money. They didn't have any life insurance, you know. And
okay,
it's
so
crazy.
Shameless plug. If anybody needs life insurance, me and Tony are licensed life insurance agents. So if anybody needs life insurance, please.
You gonna put that plug in there? You gonna add that plug?
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. Don't be selling GoFundMe and fish plate dinners. Get at me and Tony if you need life insurance.
Hey, you know
Yeah.
what?
Sorry, Sierra.
AJ, you know what? And it's the sad thing about it. I know all of us like Friday. It's a classic. But AJ Johnson just died and had no money, right? His wife had to do a GoFundMe to bury him. That was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? All the movies, all the stand-ups, he's been in movies since Baps. I mean, man, I know y'all remember that. You know, so he been around for a long time, but didn't just spend all his money, just blew all his money. And so
he never really had money though, Joe. If you listen to his interviews and stuff like that, he didn't get paid a lot of money for those movies that he had done.
Wow. Wow.
He really didn't. I think he got $500 from Friday.
Oh wow.
And they played Friday over and over and over, and anybody that was in that cast do not receive any money. But Ice Cube, of course, because he wrote it and did.
Witherspoon say that before he. Yeah, I saw John Witherspoon.
But, and let me say this, y'all know who Robert Downey Jr. is, right? The guy that plays Iron Man, right? Y'all know that he was a crackhead, basically, drug addict, just out of it, right? So he decided to. His wife got pregnant. He decided he went to prison. He went to jail. He got out of jail. He thought his acting career was over. He got out of jail, got a second chance. Now watch this. He signed his contract with Marvel. This one, Wesley. See, this is the thing I don't understand. Black people save everything, but like Wesley Snipes went through this whole tax evasion thing, went to prison for 3 years. You know, right now he probably struggling to survive. He probably got a little money, but not like what Robert Downey Jr. got. But if you go look at Wesley Snipes saved Marvel. Marvel was bankrupt. They were headed to bankruptcy until Wesley Snipes did Blade.
To Blade 1, 2, and 3. The whole
when he did the Blade movies, it made over 300, 400, 500 million dollars, and they used that money to make Avengers, Iron Man 2, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar company, and Wesley Snipes don't have no money from that, right? He didn't get no percentage. But watch this. Robert Downey Jr.
Spider-Man, which the boy that played Peter Parker got paid 3 times more for the first Spider-Man movie than he did for the third trilogy.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And so Robert Downey Jr. did this. They sat down in contracting with Robert Downey Jr. after the success of Iron Man. And Robert Downey Jr. said, you know what? Terrence Howard said, listen, I've been around for a while. This movie made money. I need to make some money too. They said, oh, no, Terrence, we're not paying you nothing. Terrence said, no, you just keep the same. Terrence Howard said, no, I need to get paid. They said, no, we're not paying you. That's why you didn't see Terrence Howard in Iron Man 2, 3, Avengers 1, 2, 3, Infinity War, Endgame. You didn't see Terrence Howard because he refused to take less. He said, I need to get paid the same thing Robert Downey Jr. is getting paid. And they said no. And so they fired him. I think they fired him or he quit. One of the two. And so he left. So they ended up getting, what's his name? Don Cheadle to play the part. But Robert Downey Jr. sat down for contract negotiations right after they let him go. And Robert Downey Jr. said, you know what? You can give me $15 million. I'll take it. On the first Iron Man, I'll take $15 million. However, I want 45% of all merchandise sales. 45% of all merchandise sales, meaning anything with Iron Man on it, shoes, clothes, toys, movies, movie sales, DVD sales, etc. The movies came out. Robert Downey Jr. on the first Iron Man made $15 million as a check. As far as clothes and shoes, $56 million. The second Iron Man movie, he set a standard. I'm not doing Iron Man this time unless I get paid $56 million. They paid him $56 million. His stock went up again. He did Avengers, $70 million. He started getting an average of $55 million per movie, plus a percentage of everything that they sell. You go to Walmart and buy an Iron Man toy, he's getting a percentage of that. But what's the difference between him and Terrence Howard? Because he was a recovering addict coming out of, he was a crackhead, right? Terrence Howard was still making movies. I've never seen Terrence Howard in a crack house or going to prison, right? So he's been around doing a lot, right? What makes Robert Downey Jr. so much more important or more worth more than Terrence Howard?
Because we've been typecast. Even if we're successful, it's and critically acclaimed, it's still in something that's demeaning or defaming. Take Halle Berry; she had to play a ho to get an Oscar. Same year, Denzel Washington plays a decrepit cop.
Yeah,
and he gets an Academy Award. 3-6 Mafia. 3-6 Mafia wins an Academy Award for best a
Yeah. Yeah.
And you ain't really heard nothing else from them after that.
Nope.
It's a whole thing. And I think that's one of the reasons Black people do like spend the way they spend. It's because no matter where you look, we're still gonna get fucked. And as much as Black people would not like to admit it, that acknowledgement means something. Oh my God, I still remember. Old girl. Shit, why can't I remember her name? God, I love her so much. Off How to Get Away with Murder.
Oh, Viola Davis.
She won that Academy
I
Award.
love her too.
Yes. Do you remember her speech?
Yes.
She said, Harriet Tubman's quote. Said, I see a gate, and I'm reaching out to all, and there's all these white women reaching out to me, and it's glorious and it's beautiful, and I'm trying everything to get over to that white woman. I love. Ooh, this woman make a speech, boy. When I tell you, she make a speech. Ooh, I love her.
Yeah.
She ain't told nothing but the truth. She made all them Black women get up and stand up and cry. And in that moment, you got to see how hard it was and how hard it continues to be for Black actors and actresses. Black people don't give a fuck about spending because they've seen their grandmothers and their great-grandmothers and their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers who have saved get fucked over. It always happens. There's not even a if and a rhyme or riddle to it. It always happens, and it's just because of ignorance. As a Black man, I'm just learning just 3 years ago that I can be a co-signer to someone else's credit card, and I would get credit. And I'm like telling all my white friends about this, and they're like, "Yeah, I know.
They teach them that. They
teach them that.
You know,
early.
What they do is parents. They get their $20,000 American Express, and they put their child on it at 14 and 15 years old. So by the time the child turn 18, they got 820 credit score. Yeah. They do that. They teach them that.
And it sucks, but I believe, and I think the Black spending it started as a revolt, as a rebellious act to show white people that you have to serve us. That's what it was in the 60s. You have to serve us. My money is good. And your white people aren't spending like we are. Yeah. So give me my product. Thank you very much. And even then, it came back in the 90s during the Tommy Hilfiger era. Black rappers were like, you know what? Oh, this is cute. Oh, you don't want us wearing your shit? Watch this. We're going to wear it. Not only are we going to wear it, we're going to buy out your store. And we're going to rock this. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. We're going to change your brand. We're going to change your demographic. And I think somewhere along the lines, it just got kind of wayward. I think we lost the initial focus and goal and point behind doing that. But there was a whole, there's a whole selling instruction. Like if you go back and look at like the 60s and the 50s, there's a whole selling instruction to Black people, and it works.
Oh yeah, I've seen that video.
Have you seen? It's called "Selling to the Negro"
with the watches. Yeah, with the Rolex.
Yeah, man.
It's still true to this day. It is still absolutely true to this day, and it is unfortunate. But I think that's just ignorance, and that's also not seeing. There's not seeing a play out of that, because Black people now are. I won't say that. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna group us like that. There are some people that represent our same skin color that are not as gracious or as open to providing the opportunity to other people of our color, or not even giving them just the knowledge. And I think it's because they have some kind of angst towards them because they think they're taking the shortcut, and they don't realize they're not taking the shortcut because they don't know the path. You would have to actually know the path to be able to take a shortcut and to call it a shortcut. And I don't know. I think there's a couple of things. I don't think there's anything wrong with like something and buying name brand stuff. I personally don't do it. I'm still Goodwill bound like a mug. I got a nice gray sweater, look cute as mug. People be like, oh, where you get that from? Goodwill, and say it proud, loud and proud. I don't care. But also, I can't say that my mom didn't care about it. When I was in high school, she wanted to constantly put me into name brand stuff. This woman she was a custodian. My dad was a custodian, and they're sitting up there trying to struggle to get to put me a name brand. I had to prove a point to her. I wore khakis my whole junior and half my senior year. I don't need that shit. I just need to graduate. Let me get up out this thing and buy you something. You know, and that's our goal as Black people. Like, we grow up as kids wanting to take care of the people that are supposed to take care of us. And it's kind of flawed and it's kind of fucked up, noble, but it's kind of fucked up that we have to have that mindset that we have to save our parents, that we have to save other people. And like, I get what Brian be saying sometimes, but like, I don't have time for other people. But at the same time, it's what you're saving people with. And I think that it's just a lack of knowledge. It's just a lack of knowledge and a lack of examples.
Yeah, and so I'll go to you, Dr. Higgins. You know, like, how do you feel about Black spending? Well, you know, like Sierra said, you know, I don't think we never crawled away. How do you feel about us crawling back to those things that don't mean us any good, or spending our money in places that don't appreciate us as a culture or as a people?
Okay. First, let me say this, because I want to clarify my statement. Dwayne said earlier, you know, like I said, that we're messed up as a people. So I want to clarify that, and because I don't want what I said to be taken out of context.
Absolutely.
When I said that, it was not meant as a general statement all across the board. It was specific towards the way we talk to the children.
Right.
It was
Okay.
dealing, you know, with the kids when we tell them, and look how I turned out, that kind of thing. So now that I got that out the way.
You got to watch Joe. He'll paraphrase you.
No, don't do that. Don't do that, Lance. Don't do that, Lance. Don't do that.
Especially if it's about Black women.
Oh, don't see that. Now there you go. See who's having a good night. There you go.
I gotta agree with the women on that one, man. I gotta agree with the women on that one.
Brian,
You
I ain't
know,
said.
He bringing the fire.
With the Black women part. With the Black women part.
I ain't said nothing tonight. I'm over here minding my business.
You did.
Okay, the thing is with Black spending, I will say, you know, to touch on about the Black businesses, I've noticed that even if I go into a store, if I'm dealing with a Black cashier, I noticed how you dealt with Becky in front of me. You were real kind. And then when you come to check out me, you want to start talking to me all kinds of ways. You'll even curse but you're not cursing me out. No, I want you to talk to me the way you talk to Becky. I want the same service you just gave Becky. Don't switch up because you figure just because I'm Black, I get it. I ought to understand. Or if you're doing services for me, you show up 3 hours late when I know that had you been doing service for a white person, you would have been on time. In fact, you would have been early, but you show up 3 hours late to perform any services for me. Now but I will say we are the most unforgiving of each other. And like you mentioned for Walmart, you go in Walmart, you go to other white-owned businesses, and if they treat you a certain way or you don't like, you'll still go back. But let a Black person do it one time and you're ready to cut them off. I will never, ever deal with them again. I don't want to buy anything else from them again. Like, we are the most unforgiving, you know, when it comes to each other. Now, I will say another thing. This is on what Lance, I believe Lance was saying, as far as here it is, 2021, and we still have a point to prove. And let me tell you the psychology of it, and it's so crazy because we don't even realize we're doing it because we're conditioned, and that's how conditioning works. You don't even realize what you're doing. And I like to use my dog as an example. I set the gate up in front of stairs, right? And I've been doing that for years when I don't want my dog running upstairs. Even if that gate fall over and lay on the floor, my dog can walk on top of it and or she can get around it. But she's been conditioned to believe that she can't knock it over, so she don't. She'll stand there and bark and want somebody to pick her up and put her over it. Because she's conditioned to believe that she can't just get over it, and she can. She can just push it over. But that's how conditioning, how it works. Because see, we set white people as the standard, and we don't realize it. You know, we'll never admit it, but we that's what we've done. We set them as the standard to where we want certain things because it means that we got money. We want what they have. The things that they have, they set the bar. They set the bar for us. The things that they have, we want those things because we get those things. That means we're on their level. They will never see us as equal. It does not matter what you got, what you're doing, and we don't even realize that's what we're doing. We made them the standard. They set the bar. So we're still trying to prove to them that we're worthy, that we're their equal. So we think buying all these things or just looking like we got money. Because here's the thing. A 1-year-old don't know anything about Jordans. A 1-year-old will be happy with some SpongeBob light up shoes. If that's what you're buying that child, they don't care about no Jordans. But parents do that because doing that puts this image like I got it like that. Like I can afford to do that. We don't even care that this child is going to school and want these Spider-Man shoes he sees another kid with. We want to throw him in all these expensive clothes. He's 2 years old with Gucci. Okay. We're doing all of this because it makes it look like we can afford it. It's not even about the children. We made it about ourselves. We want to look like we can afford to do this, like we got it like this. It's not about the kids because the kids don't even want that. That child would be perfectly happy with a Power Ranger jogging suit on. I promise you. They don't care about none of that kind of stuff. So it's always us still feeling like we got something to prove because our focus is not on us. And like I said, some people will never ever admit it, but if we can be honest with ourselves, we have long ago shifted our focus towards them. So everything is about being approved, about their approval, being approved by them. We want certain things in life because we think that puts us on an equal field. Puts us on an equal playing field as them. And they will never see us as equal. So we can just stop thinking that. Do what is best for us. What is good for us, what makes us happy. Don't try to compare ourselves to no other race. We will never be seen equal to them. So you can hang that up. Just hang that up. Focus on us. We shifted shifted our focus to them. So we want all these things because if we can accumulate the things that the white people have, it makes us feel like we're doing something in life, like we made it big because they set the bar and they are what we compare ourselves to. And we'll never admit it, but that is the psychology of it. We want what they have. As much as we claim to, we hate the way they treat us, this, that, and the other, but they have all these things because if you think about it, even if you've obtained so many materialistic things, think about that time in your life when you was happier when you had less. You were happier when you had less. You didn't have all of those obligations. You was fine in that little hoopty. You was fine when you got that first little 1-2 bedroom apartment and you had to sleep on the air mattress. I mean, back then you might have thought, oh man, I'm really struggling. But when you look at it, you had some good times on that air mattress and that 1-2 bedroom apartment. You know what I'm saying? So it's like once we start accumulating all these things and these bills, trying to keep up with the Joneses, we still in 2021 still feel like we have a point to prove. We're still trying to impress people who don't have any more than you have, and we're all trying to impress each other. They're trying to impress you too, and they don't have any more than you have. They're struggling. They've emptied their bank account trying to buy that whole Gucci outfit. They've emptied their bank account for them, and now they're unhappy at night too. All of y'all unhappy. You wouldn't spend your last on Louis V. They didn't spend theirs on Gucci. And all of y'all trying to impress a bunch of people who don't have any more than you have. None of us have anything. And that's just what we're doing. We're still trying to prove a point to people.
The white people, what the black people don't realize is the white people are slaves too. I had a white friend about a couple of years ago. We were walking down his neighborhood block. And we just up here talking, and I noticed wasn't no kids out. So, me and my black mind, I'm expecting to see white kids out with their dogs and they're having a cookout and I'm expecting to see all this little cool shit. The shit that they said that they moved from the house that they owned, sold, and now he's struggling to pay for his house when he was getting a divorce. And I was like, so where is all the people at? He was like, they don't ever come out. I was like, I just kind of assumed y'all just had this kind of. He was just like, no. He was just like, shit. He was like, most of these people are still at work, working overtime. And I was just like, well, ain't this a trip? I was like, so y'all slaves too. They sold y'all on the whole American dream. And now y'all in debt. He was like, basically. I was like, damn, y'all slaves too. And
But
black
see,
people don't
here's
even
the thing,
realize.
Lance. I don't focus on them because they're focused on them. I let them worry
Exactly.
about themselves. I'm not saying that I'm not concerned about any other race. Please do not take that out of context. I'm just saying that I be focused on us because one thing about them, they're gonna take care of their own. So I'm not worried about that. They got
No, that's
them.
what
They're
I'm saying.
gonna take care of
I
them.
was completely unaware because I don't usually worry about them.
Yeah.
But it just hit me like that. I was just like, oh shit. Like, oh, y'all really kind of going through it too. Like, y'all have been sold a false ass bill of goods just like we were. The only difference is y'all were sold it at a different income level. But they got them broke just like that. Now people are like clamoring over these Gucci's and stuff. But if you knew the black people that were integral in making this for these people to buy, you would know that you're buying the stuff that we created for them. We are the superior ways. We are the ones that
We
have the
created it, but
style.
then look at what
Yeah.
we spend our money on. You buy your kids all these Jordans, and if they die today, you can't even bury them. You got to
Without
sell
life
fish plates
insurance.
and grill leg
Ooh.
quarters to bury
At
them.
all.
So you don't even have insurance on them. Or yeah, they're buying all them Jordans, and then when they die, once again, you got to sell fish plates and grill leg quarters to bury them. So I'm just serious. That's what they got to
It is.
do. You can't even afford to bury them, and then if
Right.
something happened to you, all you leaving behind for your kids is a bunch of Jordans.
And
That's
guess
why you
what?
need to get at Megan and Tony to get some life insurance.
Oh, there she goes with that plug again. Hey, but you know what, guys? You know, and also to elaborate,
Life insurance, okay.
but to also add to what you guys are saying is that like all these different people, like you said, you'll never be good enough, you'll never be equal to them. They're always going to look down on you. And when you get high and mighty like that, what's going to happen is you're going to get your nigga wake up call.
Oh yeah.
And, oh, you're going to get that nigga wake up call because let me
Kevin
tell you what's
Hart
going to happen.
got it. Oh, they gonna give it to
Oh
you.
yeah, Kevin
They gonna
Hart.
give it to
Oh, Kevin Hart was on top of the world. Oh, I can't do no wrong. Oh, I'm above
yeah.
everybody. He got that nigga wake up call.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He got that nigga wake up call. Bill Cosby. Let me go ahead and buy NBC. Nigga wake up call. Because they're not going to allow you. My grandfather always used to say, he said, Dwayne, son, let me tell you something, grandson. I said, what's that, granddaddy? He said, your boss will never pay you enough to be their neighbor.
I say that all the time.
Oh yeah.
So they will never ever see you. So you're trying to impress, like, and the thing that used to bother me the most is when you're around older people. That's why I say some old people you can't listen to because in their minds, let me say this, in their minds back in the day, Willie Lynch said, they said, why don't you have gates around here to keep the slaves from escaping? He said the gates are in their minds.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to put a gate up because I've already put it in their heads that they can't leave here. I have them incarcerated in their minds.
Conditioning.
Yeah, they conditioning. And so when you have older people that are still conditioned, you know, I remember one time I went somewhere with an older person in my family, and the white guy came out and said, "You need me to fix your tire?" And he dropped his head, and he specifically told me, "Don't ever look the white man in the eye when you're talking to him." I say, "What?" That's not how I operate. You know, because they're conditioned. Oh, them white folks don't act a certain way. Here come the white folks. Don't you act like that in front of the white folks. You know, always trying to impress them, the older generation, trying to impress the white. Don't do this to the white people. Don't say nothing. Don't, you know, got John Kennedy up in the house on the street. But the older people, all the old people you can't listen to. I agree with Brian. A lot of old people you can't listen to. A lot of them people, they still stuck on, don't look the white man in the face. You scared of the white man. Don't say nothing to the white man. The white man own this. The white man own you. And I'm never for it. And I've been an advocate for black rights, and black people that know me know that I've been out in the streets. I've been protesting. I've been out getting statues removed and shit and doing. I've been out there. I've been out with the kids. I work with kids now at my church and out in the community now. And one of the things that just happened to me is sad, Brian. I really want to throw this your way. One of the guys that came to mind, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if his mama approved me saying his name in public, but he was just accused of killing a 4-year-old kid. Right? He's 18 years old. A 4-year-old white kid. The white people say they never met him before, don't know him. He broke in the house. But then a few months earlier, he OD'd. He almost OD'd in their driveway. So they know him. But they say that he took the little boy and killed the little boy. This boy used to come spend the night at my house. Right? He would come and spend the night on my floor and play the video game on my TV. And he's about to go to prison. They're trying to give him capital murder for killing a 4-year-old kid. Right? It's painful. to see that, because you try to save them. Like, because I was in the mentoring thing, so I had him and his two brothers. I used to bring them over to my house, and I used to take them out to the park and hoop, and I used to let them spend the night. And they come over here, and I feed them all this food, let them sleep real good, because they were in an abusive situation with their dad, and their mom was being abused. We knew that, so I brought him into my home, and just to know that he's in prison or he's in jail right now, waiting his court day or his trial for this 4-year-old kid, and they're trying to charge him with capital murder. It's heartbreaking, right? But I have to keep moving forward. I have to reach out to the next person. And when it comes to this whole spending thing, Black people don't feel. I agree with everybody. What everybody said. Everybody wants the next best thing. We want the next best thing. Like all the Jordans. I think Jordan remade all his shoes twice, and people are still buying them. Mm-hmm. You go to the Louis Vuitton store, you're going to spend $300 on a pair of pants, and the only thing that you're buying is the little label that's on the back of the pants. Mm-hmm. We're so conditioned in our minds. We can go to Walmart right now. I can go get a pair of jeans from Walmart right now and sew the Louis Vuitton logo on the back of it and sell those pants for $300, and I paid $15 for them at Walmart. That's how we're conditioned in our mind to believe we need to have another if you really sat down and thought about it, you would be like, damn, that is crazy. We're up in arms about having another man's name across your chest, Tommy Hilfiger or Gucci or Louis Vuitton. You walking around with another man's name on your chest, on your pants. I mean, I remember even back when they had the Levi's, they said Levi's was so strong you can't break a nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, they used to have these different type, and people still, people don't know the history of something. They'll continue to do it. Well, some people know the history and will still do it. Like Floyd Mayweather. I as a boxer, I think he's amazing. As a human being, I think he's a dumbass. Because when this things was going on with Gucci, they had the blackface thing. He said, I don't care. And he had the camera follow him into a Gucci store, and he spent $150,000 in the Gucci store. Right? Because he said, I'm my own man. I'm grown. Ain't nobody going to make me stop buying Gucci. Right? T.I. did the same thing, right? Did T.I. do this? No, he didn't. It was another rapper. I'm trying to think of the other rapper that did it. That went in the store and spent 70. Yeah, you go. Yeah, went in there and spent $70,000, $60,000 on some damn Gucci. Just to prove a point that, we don't conform to Black people and standing up for what Black people believe. So it's just stupid. But anyway, back to y'all, man. I've had a beautiful night tonight, man. I've enjoyed everybody on the show. I'm gonna let everybody I'm gonna let everybody go, and then I'll let Dr. Higgins, our guest, go last. But Brian, you can go ahead and give us your closing thoughts, and then Megan, you'll be next, and Lance after that.
Oh man, I thank you for having me once again, man. It's an honor. I enjoyed everyone on there. Everybody had great points, and let's just keep moving forward, man. And see y'all next week.
Yes, sir. Man, move up.
Yeah, like Brian said, I appreciate it, and I really like that. Even though sometimes we have a difference of opinion, that we all here together, and I think we're starting to build on that foundation that we've been talking about all night, about building this foundation of togetherness for our community and our Black people. I think we're a part of that, and I think this is something that we should continue. And the more and more that we have forums like this, I see success for our people, and I just see progress moving forward.
All right, L Boogie, what's up?
Just don't tailor to the hype. Get a tailor. Customize your own life. You ain't never had a tailor before. It's amazing. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. And Dr. Higgins, I would love to have your input on the comment section after this as to some solutions individually that we can do going forward to try to help make us powerful and more knowledgeable and more incumbent to what's going on.
I would love to have her back on the show. I don't know if she's gonna come back.
Absolutely.
I'll come.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I'll just be a little late because I have to do stuff with LSU, and then when I get off from there, then I'll. So yeah.
Okay,
I'll definitely show up.
So, what are your closing thoughts, Queen?
I mean, once again, I really thank you for the invite, and I enjoyed everybody. When I tell you, All of you had some really, really, really good points. And even if it just seemed like some of the views may have been opposing, they were still good points on both ends. I could see it from both perspectives. And I think that is a good thing. Like sometimes we just have to set our feelings aside. Like I tell people, sometimes what you feel and what's real is not the same thing. You know, just because you feel a certain way, it don't make it fact. So I think everybody has something good to say. I think all of us have something that we can bring to the table, you know, especially as far as being social change advocates. Um, and I look forward to meeting with y'all. You say you do this every week?
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. Okay, I look forward to meeting with you guys next Tuesday. And again, shout out to y'all. Y'all are the real MVPs. Like y'all are dope. Y'all are dope.
Appreciate it. Sierra, I didn't see. Hey, you went out for a minute, but I know you.
I mean, I was here listening. My headphones went out. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Can you?
Yeah,
hear
I
me?
can. Yeah, go. Yeah, go.
Okay,
Give us
because
your
I can
closing thoughts
barely hear
before
you
we.
guys, and I didn't want my ear to be to the phone on
Oh
camera.
no, you good. But yeah, go ahead and give us your closing thoughts, sweetheart.
But yeah, like I say, our points tonight were great. I learned a lot. I learned something every Tuesday. I like Brian's perspective. I like everybody's perspective, Lance, Mova. And I also like that Dr. Higgins came on and gave her perspective too. And I just want to tell you, everybody is great. Like she said, everybody is dope. And I look forward to seeing y'all next Tuesday.
All right, man. All right, well, listen, guys, I appreciate you. Dr. Higgins, you know, I appreciate you for coming on. Even though you had a busy day, all y'all had a busy day dealing with kids and jobs and Lance being crazy and, you know, Brian handling his kids over there. You know what I'm saying? And so I appreciate you all for coming on Tuesday. And this has been Black Men Unfiltered. And we'll see y'all next Tuesday. Peace. Y'all have a good night, man.
This is.
Peace out, man.